Southern Irish accent.
I like more accents to be fair.
It's like I always remember
Not running.
university when the girls who had to go to Scotland with good mates. There were two of them there. One was Victoria Rennie and her
Oh,
boyfriend.
I remember you saying this. Yeah.
Who wants to? If we do start, who wants to start on?
I honestly don't mind. Do you want to do rock paper scissors? Let's just do rock paper scissors and shall we? What does the winner get and what does the loser
Spence
do?
is looking pretty.
Yeah, the winner gets the guy who wants to strike and roll.
At the moment, the live stream's being run off Spence's side, though.
Oh, you're running the live stream off me now, aren't you?
Yeah, so.
We'll start? Okay.
You got your company credit card with you?
Yeah, it is actually.
If there's no food left,
That is for you from Chris.
perfect. There's no food left and you have to feed teams. It's quite an expensive act.
Cool, thanks.
That's from the boss.
Lovely. So lobster thermidor, everyone.
You can pay my bill.
I did see, was it sea trout steak or something?
Sea trout.
Yeah.
I've never been a massive fan of fish.
Do you like fish?
Uh,
Well, I'd always recommend the video over there. Monkfish tail, sea trout steak, and something else. I can't remember, but it was definitely fish again.
I've got something off Spencer.
We should review every 10 overs.
Every 10 overs? Yeah, let's do that.
Does someone want to? Shall we jump on? Give it a
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Shall we give it a go? Let's see
What's
what.
starting this?
You might need to regularly apologise if the feed goes down.
Yeah, you should. It just is.
Presumably the feed goes down.
Just a bit up.
Is our
Yeah.
audio still going to be
I
okay?
think so.
Yeah, if the feed goes down, and just everything will go. But
Oh, sorry.
I think in the absence of anything else, we just got to give it a go. I think
Okay.
we've got some friends. Yes.
If you would do color justice, can you do it?
Yeah, you could record it, yes. I'll give you a thumbs up.
Will be an argument with the dog back.
What's-
You don't need dog.
I don't think so, no. We'll just assume
He is glad he'll be sitting over there eating with that.
Mazel tov. Hello?
I saw you on stuff.
Oh, fuck
Slick.
me.
Slick. I'm out of the job.
Is the live stream up and live streaming?
I'm going to say a very provisional yes. It's off Spencer's iPhone.
I will put it on.
I would maybe caveat it and just say
Wi-Fi isn't great.
soonish.
It's very possible that
Lack of.
we literally just get started. It's not
Right. Is that possible, is it?
Yeah, I think that's very possible.
That's alright.
Yeah, it's in 240.
It's in 240.
240.
240p. That's all I can get.
Well, I mean, it's something. I don't know.
That's an old live stream. I haven't added the new live stream.
Oh, I've got
I have no idea which of these switches is off and on, by the way.
Led by their captain,
Yeah,
Kirsty
that
Gordon.
is-
Please welcome
should
today's
hopefully be
visitors,
on.
The Blaze.
There's a
And opening the batting for Somerset today, sponsored by Glastonbury Abbey number
Are we on, Ed?
18, Bex Hodges.
You are live, yeah.
We are live, Ed, apparently. We're at Exmouth Cricket Club, unfounded territory. It sounds like we're live.
Well,
So I think you should introduce the day.
hello everybody. Welcome along to Exmouth. It's wonderful to be here, and it's also wonderful that the weather has cleared up because it was absolutely hosing it down at about 9:30. And amazingly, we've only had a 10-minute delay to the start. The outfield's quite able, I think, to take some water, it's fair to say. So I must start by saying that we, I gather, are not coming to you in absolute high-definition quality, but hopefully we're coming to you for this one-day cup match between Somerset and the Blaze. The Blaze winning the toss, putting Somerset into bat. Sophie Luff has returned, so that's good news for Somerset, and also a debut today for Jasmine Westley, who was recently signed on a, well, I think it was phrased as a short-term deal, but she's got a chance to make an impression. Grace Ballinger's going to open the bowling from the C end. She wants to start, but the umpire's not quite ready. The first over, left arm from Grace Ballinger. Hodges facing up to start with Niamh Holland opening the batting. Annika Learoyd, Sophie Luff, Jess Hazel, Katie Jones will be behind the stumps. Alex Griffiths, Chloe Skelton, Jasmine Westley, Ellie Anderson and Lola Harris, the Somerset team today. And the Blaze, the visitors, top of the table. They've won all but one of their matches so far. Just missing, but yeah, look a strong unit. Tammy Beaumont stands out at the top of the order. Marie Kelly, Catherine Bryce, Georgia Elwis, Orla Prendergast, Sarah Bryce behind the stumps, Emma Jones, Kirsty Gordon is the captain, Lucy Hyam, Grace Ballinger who's bowling now, and Charlie Phillips, who may well take the second over.
Top of the surface, and I did notice while I was out there wandering around watching say this is one of the better views from a commentary position I've ever had. It is absolutely stunning. I did come to the County Cup match, which was here last year, but we weren't in this building, so it didn't have the little bit of height above the playing area. Delivery from Ballinger, but it kind of starts just on the Blaze. It kind of starts their success with the new ball. Grace Ballinger and Charlie Phillips have taken a sack full of wickets already for them, so it's not going to be easy up front, especially I guess being put in and there having been some rain around and the pitch was under cover until about a quarter of an hour before the start, so no surprise that the Blaze decided to bowl first, winning the toss. Yeah, I mean, even here you see the used pitches have a sort of brown look to them. They've spent a bit of time in the sunshine over the past few weeks, but the pitch the teams are playing on is definitely fresh and green. You always assume when there's a little bit of moisture around early on, the covers have been on, the wicket does tend to sort of hold a bit of moisture, so certainly quite an obvious toss really, just to, even if it's a spin, so always have a chance to go around a little bit of movement there on that first over, but I'm expecting good pace and carry, and to be fair, my experience of playing here, once you do get yourself into a little bit of hard work at the top of the innings, it's a belting place to play. It's a very true wicket once you get in, and one of the characteristics of the ground is you can see how it's almost like a links golf course here. It's Burnham and Barrow-esque fairways. Once you beat the outfield, the ball absolutely rattles across, so massive tariff on diving stops and making sure that you don't get beaten in the infield, because once it does get into the outfield, it absolutely flies.
Look at the car parking.
You're making me nostalgic for I can't remember which Open it was quite recently, where it was just unbelievably parched.
and just the run out they were making. You know, I can't remember which it was. It was one of the classic Scottish courses. It might be Carnoustie. Carnoustie recently, where they're just making it look just ridiculously easy because of how far they could hit it. Still no runs.
That's the thing about the big stuff. You miss the treacherous bunkers and the ball just rolls and rolls and rolls, and that's exactly the same as you'll get here, especially as we're looking at it from left to right. You see there's a slight cant on the pitch as well, so anything going towards the leg siders. Is that Neve Holland facing there? Yeah, Neve. Sorry, my failing eyesight. Yeah, anything that she plays through the leg side will actually absolutely race towards the attack centre. Great shot there from Neve. Beautifully controlled cover drive there, slightly squarer potentially than she was aiming, but a real crisp strike and rattled into the hedge.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're going to get some pace to work with Charlie Phillips. Quite excited to see her. I've not seen her before, I don't think, in person, so it's always good to see somebody running with some pace. But you know, that was, I guess, an indication of what you're saying about the pitch. It was a fraction full, and Holland could just trust it and use the pace of the ball and find the gap.
As we discussed, if you had a look at the way the ball travelled across the outfield, it didn't slow down at all, did it? I mean, there's no friction from the grass at all. Yeah, I think we get value for quality shots. I mean, I think it's well taught and spoken about attributes of as a batter at the top of the order, just doing strong shots and hitting the ball on the ground. And Neve did that excellently for that first boundary of the morning.
Oh, played on. And Charlie Phillips, another wicket. She has been in amongst it this year, and Holland looking to repeat the dose of the drive earlier on in the over. Gets the inside edge and onto the stumps. So Annika Leroyd is going to be out there early. And Somerset 4 for 1 in the second over, as Charlie Phillips, via the inside edge, finds the stumps.
Yeah, a hint of commentator's curse there after crediting Neve for that glorious boundary she just hit. Maybe a sense that the ball just nipped back a little bit again. The slope of the pitch is, from bowling from this end, you think that the majority movement will be with the slope, just down towards the stumps, and it was a bit of a loose shot there from Neve. I think that was a good delivery, and probably needed to take a little bit of care over that one. That was a big attempt at a booming drive. I'm too far away. Did you definitely pick up an inside edge? Or was it
I
nip
thought
back?
so. Yeah, I thought so. Inside edge. Yeah.
Had the nod from who's watching the footage. Yeah, just a loose stroke out. Which is a shame, because Neve's ability to really take the game away from the opposition early on.
Yeah. So now, say Leroy joining Odgers, coming off the back of that terrific 100 at the bowl. And you'd imagine with a great deal of confidence from that, and how she held that innings together as well. Hampshire going on to win the game, but were it not for the runs of Odgers and Chloe Skelton, who's been one of the form batters recently, back-to-back half-centuries at both at much greater than a run a ball. So Somerset have got the confidence of knowing they do back pretty deep today, especially with the inclusion of Westley making her debut. It's a little bit more depth to that batting lineup. Pulled away, and that'll be Odgers off the mark just with a single. So we'll bring Leroyd on strike for the first time. Now, can you clear this up for me once and for all? The pronunciation of this ground is the Mayor ground?
We have an end/ground issue again.
We do. There's going to be no issues with the end, I can tell you that much today. That's the easy one.
the mayor. I mean, I know some Millfield School, for instance, have their first team, the mayor's 11.
Yeah,
so
I'm
that
guessing
brings,
it's
there's some sort of connection there.
possibly the same family
We'll
or
go with that.
something like that.
We'll go with that.
The ends. Would you like to guess what the far end, as we look at it, is called?
Well, Marine Parade End. Or?
That's far
Right,
too
okay.
poetic.
That's the name of the road, I think, isn't it? Is it Marine Parade? But I'm imagining the seafront. The seafront end.
Leroy punching into the gap in the covers. She'll get off the mark as well. The sea end.
The sea end.
So the other end is I was going to go with the not sea end, but apparently it's the pavilion end, which I'm a little bit disappointed by, I've got to say. I haven't looked, actually.
A 2 out of 10 for imagination.
Yeah,
But
I haven't looked
but
to
they
see
make sense.
if... Sort of going back to the last game that we did at Taunton Vale, as there's a play and a miss. Going back to the last game we did at Taunton Vale, where Molly Robbins managed to come up with the broccoli tree end. I haven't looked to see at this end if there are any trees that are reminiscent of any vegetables or maybe lookalikes for people or something like that. But maybe
It
at
all depends
lunchtime
on
I'll
how
go
they're
down and have a
cooked.
look.
All depends on how they're cooked, Ed, I think.
Wilted spinach end.
Another solid over of bowling there. I mean, it's been you'd imagine top of the table team, a feature of the bowling, not only bowling with a good amount of pace, but the consistency as well. The only boundary of the day has been a pretty good cricket shot, so Somerset batters put under some pressure at the moment. I think part of the mentality of going out there batting when you've lost the toss and there's rain about, you can sometimes sort of imagine that lots of things are going to happen, the ball's going to move around a lot, but it's important you just take your time. I mean, 50 overs is a long period of time to bat. You can catch your run rate up very easily, and it's just important that you just take a little bit of time. And I think the phrase "invest in the early part of your innings" is really important in 50 over cricket. Making sure that you one of the top 4, I think, in the game of stats now. I mean, I think it's some statistic that if one of your top 4 scores 80 plus, your win rate is in the 80 and above % rate. So it's really important that one of the top 4, you could probably expand that out to the top 5, make a sizable contribution. And not often is that just bish bash bosh. Again, 50 overs is a long period of time. Make sure you play and go through the gears of your innings, and Somerset are going to be under the pump to do that against a good bowling attack after losing Neve Holland early.
Yeah, and in this position, sometimes you almost feel the first 10 overs, whilst you'd love to be bashing the ball through the infield a lot, the first 10 overs is almost about how many wickets you've lost rather than how many runs you've scored. But we've got sunshine, and the beautiful cliff faces, red cliff faces, over on the far side of the mouth of the X, looking absolutely resplendent, and it's obviously a bit breezy. It's white horses, isn't it? That's what they call them.
Well, it is tropical down here. I mean, the fact that we're in this nice enclosed pavilion at the pavilion end, I mean, we don't feel the negative effect of that coastal wind. It's kind of like home from home, really, coming from Weston-super-Mare. I coined the phrase, I'm pretty sure it wasn't me that coined the phrase, but I use the phrase a lot: never confuse light with heat. And that is the case here, because it looks like a beautiful day out there until you step outside and that sea wind hits you. It is pretty chilly out there.
Now we're facing the right way here with the water, though, unlike Weston-super-Mare.
Well, water's a loose phrase, being a channel as well, because it's kind of it's not quite the shades of turquoise and blue that we're seeing here today. It's a little bit murkier than that. Weston's channel water that comes in.
Yeah, there's a few bits of industrial waste coming down from Avonmouth or somewhere.
It's not unprecedented to go in for a dip and come out glowing green like a Simpsons character.
No, it's really beautiful colour, the water at the moment. I should be watching the cricket, really, but it's hard not to be admiring the view. That's a nice looking shot. Running with the shot Leroy. Good cricket all round, I'd
That's
say.
a beautiful shot there from Annika Leroy. One of the features of her batting, actually, she likes to use her feet, especially to the seamers. Just that little shuffle down the wicket, bringing the ball closer to her in length. Really full face of the bat, a nice solid strike there. I mean, a yard either side of the mid-off fielder, and that would have raced away for 4.
If I just about crane my neck and squint, I can see the main scoreboard over there.
Oh, great shot. Beautiful shot there from Odgers through the covers. And as stated, there is no reeling back once you beat the infield here at Exmouth Cricket Club. And that takes Somerset into double figures after 4 overs, with the loss of Neve Holland, which is a shame, but great opportunity here for the top order batters to get a score, because like I said, the characteristics of this ground are normally for high scoring.
I don't think I actually clarified, whilst we've started 10 minutes late, no loss of overs. So I think that means we've still got potentially 20 minutes to play with, as far as if another shower were to come, we wouldn't start losing overs for 20 minutes. But let's hope that that doesn't happen. And I guess, as you always know with an outground, it's not that you're going to be able to cover, 3/4 of the outfield or anything like that. You can just about cover the pitch. Down the pitch driving, and that won't be caught, I don't think. It's a bit of a teaser, but he was just pushed through the gap, just stroked away between backward point and cover, and a little bit of a slope down as well, and the ball just races away. So another boundary for Somerset, beginning to get the run total moving.
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind, Ed, the square pretty much, especially on that side where that ball went, spans pretty much all the way to the boundary rope, so it's even tighter cut than the outfield, and that spent all its time on the square, and there's no reeling in here at Exmouth Cricket Club. Play again, going back to a game plan, you play strong shots, beat the infield, and that's where your boundaries are going to come. The Blaze reacting quickly there, and the keeper's coming up to the stumps.
I make it 8 bowling options that the Blaze have got, and we're talking legitimate bowling options as well, not just people who can bowl every now and then. So I really have no idea how Kirsty Gordon decides how she's going to use her bowlers, but she is a fantastic captain, and I think probably one of those people that's, if they want to do it, is a coach in making as well. Has been an excellent leader of this, whether it's the Blaze or I suppose Lightning in their previous guise. She's been a fine leader of this unit, and they are a unit. So there'll be another test for Somerset today. They've had a run of tough games, as there's, rightfully so, not many easy games out there anyway, but Blaze today, very stiff opponents.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Annika sort of adapts her game. It's very much part of the conscious game plan to use her feet to seamers, and as a batter, when you have that as such a tool in your armoury, you're kind of hoping the keeper doesn't come up for 5, 6, 7 overs and allows you to just play within your way. So I think that's a brilliant bit of captaincy and strategy between the bowler and wicketkeeper to take one of Annika's key tools away from her early on. You've almost got to re-get in when you're a player that uses their feet a lot. Stationary in the crease, I would suggest that's probably not her most comfortable. She likes, coming towards the bowler. But she's played that nicely there through gully, picks up a couple of runs.
Yes, I suspect what she'll like is a ball like that she can rock onto the back foot too. You don't have to worry too much about getting forward. Now, slip comes out. It doesn't tend to take too long in white ball cricket, and Tammy Beaumont's going to reinforce
the cover region. The in shape of Grace Ballinger, they will complement each other well. These opening bowlers. Catherine Bryce, I mean, you do pretty well to keep Catherine Bryce from taking the new ball, but got her to come on as potential first change.
Yeah, it's normally the move as a captain. When you move the slip out, you're just praying the next ball doesn't get edged towards that slip area. It happens so often in one-day cricket where you go to a more defensive mind and the next ball goes for 4 towards third man. Would have gone straight into the bread basket of first slip, but that wasn't the case.
I wonder if Sarah Bryce might be happy with the helmet on anyway, because as ever she does have quite a long ponytail, which is in danger of flapping right into her face with this wind. Yeah, it's, I mentioned the game that was played on this ground last year by Somerset's women. It was an extraordinary game of cricket. It was in that knockout County Cup T20 and ended up with the scores level after 20 overs and going to a super over, which we just about had time for. The sun had pretty much set behind the hill behind us. Clipped away in the air and caught. And that's the second wicket for the Blaze. Charlie Phillips, a second strike. I think it's Catherine Bryce who's taken the catch at mid-wicket. It was almost accidentally timed too well.
Yeah, a bit of a nothing shot there from Odgers. I think, yeah, if you're going to go aerial, I think it should look like you mean it. That was just sort of helped into the hands of mid-wicket. Not a brilliant shot there. You know, she's very strong on the leg side, but you know, when I've seen her play well, she really does commit to the shot. It didn't look that committed. And Sophie Luff comes to the crease after a little layoff with a concussion injury. So good to see her back. And, you know, almost the perfect scenario for Sophie to come in when the team are under a little bit of pressure. That's one of the things that really does, you know, bring out the best in Luffy. You know, she loves a challenge, and this is the perfect situation, really. You know, you've got you know, Leroy at the other end who's going to score relatively freely, so Luffy now can, you know, focus on creating that partnership and do her thing. You know, with, you know, we spoke about her ability to manipulate the singles early on in her innings, and that's exactly what the situation calls for now. You know, 18 for 2 inside of the power play is not a great situation for Somerset to be in on what looks to be a decent wicket. So a bit of a rebuild period is required here from Somerset.
Yeah, no, I like that summarising. Not a great situation, but the right person for the job.
Yeah, you have players, I think, that you build up and rightly so, a reputation for the person you want for those challenging times, and I don't think there was a better example of that than the first game, where the game was absolutely dead and buried, and Sophie ended up 60 odd not out and saw the game home with the last batter. I mean, hard situations seem to bring out the best in her batting, so this is definitely a tough situation against a good bowling unit, especially the way they've set the field as well. They've you know, you have a look, and maybe it's there's a little bit of a tactic in the colouring of the shirts. You have a look at those orange shirts on the offside. It really does look quite fortified.
Strangled shout. Sounds like there might have been 2 noises there. Now, I've been passed a note here, which this looks like an extraordinary amount of detail, which I'm very grateful for, from one of the Exmouth CC officials. The name the Mayor Ground comes from the wider area of land that the ground is situated on. The other side of the hedges is the Mayor Local Nature Reserve. Warm, sandy soil. Yeah. Oh, it's a ball just guided wide of slip. I'm sure Sophie Luff knew what she was doing.
Well, the classic one hand off play into the ground Sophie Luff shot through the offside. She's played that very intentionally and gets herself off the mark.
So warm, sandy soil provides the perfect conditions for insects, with many unusual solitary bees
and wasps, and a handful of pairs of skylarks. Okay.
Well, we'll take the bees and skylarks. The wasps can do one.
Yeah,
Don't like those. They're
unwelcome
a
sight at a
bit
cricket
stingy,
ground.
but don't they feed on green flies, isn't it? So they're pretty important, aren't they?
I think somebody once said they were important, but I'm not sure I believed them. So yeah,
And rubbing up against plants and pollinating others. That's
oh,
kind of one of their
that's
big
important.
roles, isn't it?
Yeah, that is important. And it goes on to say harsh soil conditions mean specialised and rare plants grow on the nature reserve. So there we go.
And we
I've
plonked a
read
cricket ground
that
right
out.
in the middle of it. What's going on? With fertilisers and all the stuff. So
Well, what more could you want? You've got nature, you've got sport, sun, sand, and sea.
all
There's
we need
even,
is a 99 flake, don't we?
Well, there might not be that, but there is monkfish tail on sale, I noticed. So you know where you are when you come down here. You wouldn't be getting monkfish tail on sale up at Scarborough or somewhere, I can tell you that.
It's very middle class menu option, that, isn't it?
Or it's swinging in. Has it done a bit too much? Maybe has.
Going down the leg side, that was my guess on that, looking at the shape that Sophie Luff made.
Oh, there's plenty of seaside grounds around the country, but there's not too many where even from a little bit of height you can actually just stare out over the sea. And there's also not many apparently plonked in the middle of a nature reserve.
It is one of the great grounds in the country, I'd say. I'd go as far as to say that, and
Yeah.
I think probably shares a characteristic of Sidmouth as well. Also in Devon. So yeah, the two grounds where from the pavilion you can see the sea, and Sidmouth throws in a lot of other potential problems, because in a midweek game you're not allowed to hit sixes on the leg side because of danger of people innocently scoffing on their fish and chips, getting bombarded with white kookaburra balls.
Do you reckon? I'm looking over at Spencer Bishop and Ben Warren here. Do you reckon we can have a game at Sidmouth next year? Can we make that happen?
Sidmouth?
Yeah.
Is there better Wi-Fi down there?
Is there better Wi-Fi?
First world problem. Wi-Fi is key. So if you're out there, if you're listening, anyone involved with Sidmouth, sort your Wi-Fi out and we'll be down.
I reckon we can make that happen. Once again, if you are seeing things in a little bit of a blur, just be grateful you've got anything. No, I'm not going to say it that way. But
Well, it's been quite an undertaking by the team, and congratulations
Yes.
to them for getting the live stream up and running, porting it all from Taunton down to here. There's wires everywhere. I feel like it's
there's jets of steam
there's
shooting
definitely
out.
there's a health and safety trip hazard to our current predicament, Ed. I think we need to be very careful when we get up, or we could drag the wires out of everything. But complexities, as the Somerset batting unit are having at the moment. 20 for 2 inside this first power play, and first observations are that the Blaze are a very, very organised unit, bowling good areas, and no doubt with one of the coaches of the Blaze now, former teammate Luke Fletcher, one of those metronomic county super successful bowlers, so I have no doubt that he's put his stamp on this bowling unit.
Craig Cumming, the former New Zealand international, the head coach for the Blaze. Oh, that was a drive me delivery, and Annika Leroyd fancied it. It's not quite going to go to the boundary. Back for a couple of runs. But
Yeah,
yes.
a little bit of a sound of the toe end of the bat, that one, but nice that the scoreboard's ticking over. And Annika, I think, looks a high class player, and Sophie's started really brightly her innings. She's moving around. She's picked up a couple of singles here, so that's always a good sign that she's up for the scrap, and has gotten over a little knock to the Swede.
I had a lovely little walk over on the cliffs further away from the ground last year. It's just a fabulous place to be for an afternoon. And I should say also, there is going to be another game here in mid-June, so
why
Whether
not
it's
get yourself
raised.
down here for the second game at Exmouth and experience the setting? And there might even be sea trout steak on the menu again. Monkfish tail, sea trout steak. I can see the fire just going up from the barbecue over there.
I'm working class, Ed. Batter me a cod and a few chips, that'll do me. Salt and vinegar, thanks for popping in.
There's plenty of that in the town.
Yeah, that's all we need.
And then a slightly odd-looking place I walked past, Exmouth Amusements. It didn't say what the amusements were, but there were amusements of some description.
Yeah, big fan. Again, being from Weston-super-Mare, I used to supplement my pocket money by getting on the old 2-penny nudgers. Had a good technique of when you got on the board, the old highs and lows. Back in the day when they were a little bit more analog, and it was actually about timing to land on the light when it flicked between yes and no. You're probably too young to have experienced
I'm
anything
afraid
like that.
not. No, I'm not sure what is that.
Well, a fruit machine where it would go higher, lower. Obviously, higher meant your 5p turned into 10p, and so on to about £2.
Okay, yeah.
And it would, it'd get quicker and quicker, and you actually had to time when you press the button. There was definitely a technique to it.
Lovely
What a
shot.
shot there from Luffy, straight down the ground, raced across the outfield. That's a fine shot, slightly overpitched by the bowler, but met with a full face of the bat from Sophie Luff.
Now, when you said higher or lower to start with, I thought we were going all sort of play your cards right.
Yeah, it was probably some sort of card theme to it. And also, like, if you were from Weston-super-Mare, you'd go onto the pier or something like that, and they would have these balance games where you put a penny and it goes down the slot, and you kind of knock
Oh yeah,
the 2p's off and stuff like that.
That's a bit
You
more
knew the
familiar.
machines where the alarms were a little less sensitive, and you give them a little nudge.
Boundary followed by single.
I'm a bit
Was it
worried
Emma
about
Corney
going
was-
home now. I might get arrested. I've given away all my secrets.
Was it Emma Corney who was saying that the Taunton crowd like the 4 and the 1?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of confidence boosters, that shot that Luffy played down the ground, obviously brilliantly backed up with that tuck down to fine leg for one. But that really does. You can have all the nets and the preparation in the morning, hit the ball in the middle of the bat, and that's all great. But when you hit a shot like that when you're out in the middle, it kind of gives you a real confidence that you're seeing it nicely, making the right judgments. It's a great sort of shot to play early on. Nothing better than hit one back past the bowler.
I shan't say which colleague it is, but speaking of those sorts of things, one BBC colleague of mine made quite a lot of money back in the day on the quiz machines around the pubs in London, because they all used the same questions. So all you had to do was I mean, okay, you've got to memorise a certain number of answers, but the questions. So all you've got to do is just go from pub to pub and can make a good amount out of the quiz machines.
Sounds like that's a Hollywood film right there.
I think so.
I think he's a pitch it. You might have to swap Anthony Gibson for Tom Cruise there.
Anthony Gibson. I'm not sure who'd play this particular colleague on the film. To be slightly rotund.
I'd imagine that someone of Anthony Gibson's intellect and vocabulary wouldn't even need. He would know all the questions anyway. Slightly false shot there from Annika Leroy. Inside edge down to fine leg. Always a little bit of a heart in the mouth moment when you feel the inside edge of the bat on the ball, worried about dragging it back onto the stumps.
Well, I can tell you that this situation that this information, I knew it ended in shun. This information that we've had about the soil and the bees and the wasp, I mean, that is nothing compared to the 10-page essay that would have come back if I'd have asked Anthony Gibson about the trees and the grass and the sort of inner workings of all of it. He's a very, very knowledgeable man about his
Well, it's nice. I
country
mean,
affairs.
county cricket. Back in the day, it started dying out when I started my career. Playing at Outgrounds, Bath, Weston-super-Mare, Southend, and Scarborough. And they still go, but certainly in the southwest, Somerset played a lot of their first class cricket in outgrounds, and you kind of, Taunton is a fantastic ground, don't get me wrong, but it's very much a sports stadium, whereas you're very much embedded into the local community and what it has to offer, and there aren't many better offerings than here at Exmouth. And a nice shot there from Leroy to mid-off and a scampered single. There would have been a little bit of panic on there because that bounced quite favourably towards mid-off for a potential shy at the stumps, but fortunately for Somerset and Annika, she fumbled it at mid-off and wasn't able to get a throw off. That might have been quite tight.
Yeah, I reckon so. I don't know if you're almost taking the chance that there's likely to be a fumble.
That's a risky strategy.
Yeah.
Especially with the standard of fielding across the world of cricket these days. I mean, what would have been amazing 20 years ago is almost standard procedure now. The catches near the rope always amaze me. The ones that they catch, they're going to go over, they toss it up and jump back on. I mean, every time I see one of those, I think it's just different level.
There's certainly no passengers in this Blaze side. We talked about the depth of bowling. Got equal amounts, if not more, depth of batting, and excellent in the field. Oh, it's gone through everything. I think it's going to be signalled a bye. It is. Umpires Ben Peverell and Ant Harris, not Anna Harris, as he's occasionally called.
Definitely an Ant.
2 A Harrises on the circuit. This is definitely the Ant version.
Well, with all the soft soil and bushes, he'll be in his... As an ant, he'll be in his perfect habitat.
Or is it too harsh for ants? Don't know.
I reckon they're quite a robust animal.
Yeah, you get
They get everywhere,
different
don't
types, don't you? Oh, as an appeal, it's not terribly convincing from behind the stumps. Ballinger really liked it.
Yeah, that was quite a sort of organic, full-on appeal from the bowler there. Must have heard some sort of a noise.
It'll be Flying Ant Day before we know it. I remember I was at Bristol.
Well, if the wind gets up, you might see a flying ant.
Yeah. At Bristol last year, the entire ground there was just completely covered in gulls. I've never seen anything like it. Hundreds and hundreds of them. We might get those today, but only if the monkfish tail does a roaring trade.
Yeah, they'll be having a hover over, no doubt, seeing if there are any leftovers. A few stray chips. You do get the occasional, especially the coastal seaside town seagulls. They do become quite brazen. They learn that. I think they genuinely watch. As soon as you turn your head, they're dive bombing your scampi and chips.
They only knew how
it's happened to me
powerful they were.
twice.
Has it?
One of them actually, it was in Scarborough. There's a famous Mother Hubbard's, I think it's called, a very famous fish shop. All the locals say that's the best one. And we were outside on the terrace, and I got dive bombed. It was some sort of hybrid between a seagull and an Alsatian. It was enormous.
It wasn't an albatross, was it?
It was enormous, but it swooped down, took half me cod and chips, and I can remember thinking, fair play. I was not annoyed at all. I was like, actually, fair play. You clearly need that more than I do. I was on my second helping, to be fair.
Judging by the size of it, it probably didn't. Are you allowed fish and chips during a game?
Hey, after you bowl 25 overs at Scarborough, you can have whatever you want.
All right.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that might have been a Darren Lehman exhibition. So it was quite hard toil. So we definitely needed some sustenance in the evening.
Is it a feature of... I'm only probably talking absolute rubbish now. Is it a feature of seaside grounds? The Saltaire, does it kind of dry pitches out more? Do they tend to be a bit harder? Because Scarborough is somewhere that's flashed down to...
I think it's probably more to the amount of sand that would be underneath. you'd imagine that a lot of this land will be heavily sand based. It's certainly an amount of feet down, so obviously the moisture, I think, just saps through. That would be my guess, and it is only a guess, Ed. But yeah, I mean, like the ground that I grew up playing, Western-super-Mare, it could start off quite damp, and by halfway through the game it's dry, and unfortunately that is the end of Sophie Luff. Looks like another drag on. Nice piece of bowling, a good area. Sophie Luff tried to punch that through the offside, and another inside edge, just maybe not judging the slope and imagining that ball coming back in towards the stumps, which I think has been a feature. We had the inside edge from Leroy the previous over, and she got away with that. Sophie Luff hasn't, and Somerset are in a spot of bother now at 33 for 3. Jess Hazel coming to the crease at number 5.
Coming in next for Somerset, Jess Hazel.
So Jess Hazel, who's, at least according to the scorecard I've got, not keeping wicket today. Katie Jones will be doing that. But yeah, that's a tough loss, that, for Somerset, and I'm not going to say quite it feels like you're almost thinking about batting the 50, but you've certainly got to just think about pretty much just batting for a while, and you kind of got to, I suppose, put the scoreboard a little bit out of your mind. But Georgia Elwes striking early as well. Not Georgia Elwes, it's Orla Prendergast. Of course it is. I think Georgia Elwes might not mind me saying that she'd probably quite like to be bowling with the keeper back. I don't think Georgia Elwes tends to bowl too much with the keeper back anymore. Orla Prendergast, the Irish international.
Well, I think there does have to be a little bit of a mentality of, 3 down inside the first 10 overs. You have got to be thinking about batting the 50 overs. You're probably in a position now, Annika Leroy is probably, and I suggest this might be the case for a lot of the season, she's going to be a real key feature in what total Somerset can get to. There's been some great contributions in the season. You mentioned Skelps the other day, picking up runs. She also has really good memories of playing against the Blaze. She scored a magnificent, very quick 30 odd at Trent Bridge when I was coaching the Western Storm, and definitely looks like she's moved her batting on. Jones Griffiths has been in reasonably decent form. Jess Hazel's got some runs this year as well, so there's plenty of batting there. But I think you've probably got to stop looking at probably the 250, 270 that you'd want here, and just put on the board a competitive score, and that is absolutely vital that you bat your overs. And definitely a period now where Somerset have to just take some time out. Yes, be proactive in terms of ticking the scoreboard over, but I think it would be a very high risk strategy just to be playing big shots for the next 10-15 overs. Really does take a little bit of hard work now just to rebuild this innings for Somerset at 33 for 3.
Big summer for Orla Prendergast, who ends her first over there. The Women's T20 World Cup coming up in pretty short amount of time. It's got to be around about a month, and Prendergast and the Bryce sisters and Kirsty Gordon as well all will be playing in that, with Kirsty Gordon returning to Scotland in terms of her declared nationality, and she's part of the squad for the World Cup, which is great news for Scottish cricket and for the tournament. But Ireland and Scotland due to play each other. I think that match is one of the ones at Bristol, so that should be quite fun. And Prendergast and those three will go from teammates to bitter rivals, I'm sure.
Well, it's been a great start from Prendergast, and backing up the quality of Charlie Phillips, 4 overs, 2 for 18 in the opening spell, and I think that spell was so effective that the captain's able to put a new bowler on, it's quite unusual for the opening bowler to have 2 for 18 and be taken off after 4 overs. But actually, you've then got 6 overs left in the tank where she can come back and continue attacking. And Orla's first over was outstanding. I think it was like for like bowling, really. Just right arm over, metronomically accurate, decent pace on the ball, challenging the Somerset batters, and that's exactly what you want from your captain. Backing up a good spell with a good start, and Prendergast is going to be in pretty good spirits, 1 for 1 off the first over. I mean, what a great way to start a spell. Ballinger definitely bowling at what this. I would imagine if you put to vote with 100 seamers which end you'd like to bowl here, they would all say from the pavilion end. So I think it's important to mention that Grace Ballinger's doing a really good job. She's doing the hard yards up that hill and keeping the scoreboard dry. She's going at 2.5 runs and over, so she's doing a really good job. And you expect the seamers to probably pick up the wickets from this end because it's a bit more comfortable for them, but don't underplay what Ballinger's doing in this spell.
No, I suppose also with the wind, it's possibly assisting her in swing from that end is about the only bit of good news for her. Consistently swinging the ball in, targeting those pads.
Yeah, I think the swing will be assisted. It looks like it's probably over a left shoulder, which would be the perfect wind for a left arm over bowler looking to bring the ball back into the right-handers. But the slope and the cant of the wicket is probably going against what she wants, potentially posing some really interesting, challenges to the batter. You imagine the ball swinging in then nipping away. That's going to be, if you could bowl half a dozen of those, you'd be doing pretty well. But yeah, it's that hill, that slope is actually, it's what you can't see from here, Ed, as well is years of top dressing the square as well. It's not really in play from this end, but there's quite a sharp rise and a sudden rise up to the delivery area for the bowler, and that often throws out a bowler's rhythm. So she's doing a great job.
T20 stuff. Yeah, I think he's in the middle.
Over pitched, and fielder at mid-off pretty much has to wear that one. But another tight, solid over from Grace Ballinger.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was her last over, but that's a really solid 6 overs there. She hasn't picked up the wickets, which will, I suppose, every bowler wants to take wickets. She'll be sort of disappointed with that, but I think the captain will be over the moon with what Ballinger's done there. It'll be interesting to see what they go to. Again, seem very much working. You'd imagine this time having 3 down would be a great time to get a spinner into the wicket, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's another seamer available.
They could pretty much bowl 50 overs of seam if they wanted. They've got the option. I don't think they will, but that option is there. They could bowl Phillips, Ballinger, Bryce, Kay, Elwes and Prendergast. But they won't. So Kirsty Gordon will undoubtedly bowl.
I'm enjoying the rhythm of
spinners.
Prendergast, in particular a run-up. She's really attacking the crease. Looks, again, that's probably an outcome from bowling that first over. She's really hitting that crease hard and bowling nicely. Looks like she's in really, really good rhythm.
Was she the overseas before your time as coach for Western Storm?
Before,
yeah. Thought probably she was. I always remember a fantastic 100 she scored at Cardiff against whatever Lancashire were calling themselves at the time. I can't remember. They changed their name basically every year. Kicks off the wicketkeeper. Good call from Annika Leroyd through for a bye.
One of the rare loose deliveries, that short and wide, not capitalised on by Jess Hazel, but Somerset pick up an extra. It was an awkward one for the wicketkeeper. That just died in front of her. That's the worst for a wicketkeeper, especially downhill. That ball that dips in front of you gets on the half volley. you crouch down with your gloves and you're thinking, please hit something other than my teeth. It's a very, very nervy position when you're behind the wicket, whether it be slip or wicket keeper.
But no, that 100, I'm going to say that they were Lancashire Thunder still in those days, but she had both halves of the Nobles Cricket podcast coming at her, and I think Deandra Dottin was bowling, perhaps not at full pace, but it was against a cracking attack.
Leroyd as well, just continuing with using her feet. It does look like Prendergast is a little bit of a pace up.
Yeah, no,
from that initial spell from Phillips, so the keeper less interested in coming up to the crease, which I think maybe suits Annika and the way she likes to play. Pretty much every delivery she is using her feet down the wicket. Not that time, short and misfielded at point, racing away to the point boundary. Good work out there. Deep cover, racing around and keeping it to 2.
You could see that Leroyd was just going there. I'd imagine that either that's just what she's doing anyway, or they've had a bit of a chat about, look, it's not easy to pick the ball up. You're going to have to probably take a little bit of extra time and care in terms of watching the ball into your hands in the outfield, and there's plenty of extra runs to be had, even if it's not on the arm. Never mind, you've got to gun it in against the wind from out there. DJ Ginge is in the house again today. Some music banging out from our right hand side, and it looks as though this is Catherine Bryce coming into the attack, I'm going to say very confidently. It is the change, as Triggs forecast. This looks very much like a Catherine Bryce with sister up to the stumps.
Yeah, I think that was the conversation I overheard with coach Luke Fletcher. I think Catherine Bryce was asked, which end would you like? And she was like, pavilion end, first spell, down at the sea end. Cheers, Cat.
Yeah, she's not got the longest run up, Catherine Bryce, but if there's any swing, she'll find it. Nicely placed into the gap by Jess Hazel. Run scoring tricky to come by. Blaze have still got 6 in the ring, which you'd think at 37 for 3 is probably about the minimum. Not going to give you a great deal of pace to work with anyway, Catherine Bryce. And that in-swinger through the gate is a trademark, really.
Yeah, I don't think the run rate should be a concern at the moment. It's just about taking some time out. Yes, you want the scoreboard ticking over. You don't want it to completely flatline, but it is a bit of a situation Somerset are in. 37 for 3 early on, and what looks like, let's be honest, quite a good surface, to bat on. So, and we know the characteristics of the white ball. You get through that first sort of 15 overs and doesn't offer a great deal to the seamers later on in the innings. So really important that the top order batters, Annika being that, and Jess Hazel, the middle order are there for 30 overs, 40 overs to make sure they can make the most of probably the best batting conditions when the ball's getting a bit older and not swinging and not doing so much. They do go soft quite quickly, the Kookaburra balls. Does make batting a lot easier, so important that they stay focused. At 37 for 3, the Blaze very much on top here at Exmouth Cricket Club, the Mayor Ground.
I'm going to say that confidently. The notes didn't come with a correction on pronunciation.
Yeah,
so
and
that's what
not
we're
the
gonna go
spelling
with.
that the Mayor's 11 for Millfield School use either. So
Oh, I see.
obviously, if
didn't
it was a
realise
spelling
that,
bee,
yeah.
I would have had to have asked you contents. Can you put it in a sentence?
Yeah, I'm not sure I could put this particular spelling in a sentence. I mean, it says that it comes from the wider area of land, the name, but that doesn't tell you what the area of land is named after. So that's the other detail that we need.
Answers on a postcard.
Not
Well,
sure if it's
certainly a nice
dialect or family
Certainly
name.
a nice part of the world. If you are down in the southwest and you fancy a impromptu trip out, there are ice creams. There is, as Ed has been mentioning, and I think you must be hungry because you've been going on about it a little bit. There's a lovely array of fresh seafood that's going to be grilled up and offering. So come down to Exmouth for a couple of hours, enjoy a bit of cricket. But just make sure you bring a couple of tops, I think.
Yeah, and probably a deck chair.
A windbreaker.
Yes. Or you could do what we had at Taunton Vale last year, where somebody pretty much brought a kind of entire Antarctic expedition tent set up. It was really something quite extraordinary.
They're amazing, those things, until you've got to get them back in the bag that they came in. Many a heated row with the wife has happened when we used to have those for the kids on the occasional beach trip. Not that there were many, but yeah, these sort of beach igloos, as I'd probably describe them. They come in a bag about the size of a small wallet, and they could fit 4 people in, but they somehow break down to like a cigarette packet, and you're like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, and it's no good just stuffing it in any old way, because either it won't fit at all, or you'll have to put up with it next time you try and deconstruct it. That's gone high up into the air, should land safely, right between the keeper running back and fine leg running across, and then almost in danger of spinning away for 4, but they're back for 2. It wasn't the easiest, I must admit, picking even the white ball out of this sky that we've got at the moment, with the contrast up there. It's clearly raining somewhere in the distance, but thankfully not here.
Well, when we have a break, we'll have to jump up into the crow's nest and do a scout. There's weather coming in, Captain.
Nah, I'm not venturing out into that wind, the teeth of the wind.
Fair weather commentator, aren't
Yeah,
you?
oh exactly. Yeah, I mean this is perfect actually. You've got the perfect combination of outground and being indoors. There's not too many outgrounds.
Very
around the
disappointed
country.
we haven't been served a coffee though, hint hint.
Yeah, I must say actually, even me with a slightly earlier start than normal today, even I might have one of my about 3 or 4 coffees a year. Can't be doing with getting addicted to caffeine.
That's
My
remarkable
body
that,
is a temple.
that you're involved in cricket and aren't completely addicted to caffeine. That is, you're in a very small minority there.
Yeah, I know. But no, early start this morning to make our way down.
That was the end of the 14th over. Somerset currently 40 for 3. Leroyd 15 not out. Jess Hazel 4. Been a fantastic opening bowling unit by the Blaze. And the pressure doesn't seem to be yielding at any stage. So Somerset put under an immense amount of pressure early on here at Exmouth.
It's only going to be a single. We've seen, well, the Sophie Luff straight drive, Holland's scoring shot through cover point. Annika Leroyd's played a couple, but you know, I'm sort of struggling to think of really thumping boundaries. been many opportunities.
Well, certainly the shot of the day was Sophie Luff's straight drive
Yeah.
down the ground, but unfortunately she played on, as did Neve Holland. Odgers just offered that quite simple catch to mid-wicket, going aerial but not really committed to the shot, which is unlike Odgers, because normally when she goes for an attacking shot it's quite full-blooded.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real mark of her batting, isn't it? Which has really come into its own since Storm turned into, if you look at it that way, into Somerset.
Morphed.
Yeah, morphed, that's a good word. And just what struck you so quickly was how committed she was in terms of the striking, but as so often the way, score a big 100 and a few days later it doesn't quite feel the same. Oh, I think another inside edge, maybe onto pad. We have seen quite a few of those. Maybe just because of the movement through the air, but two played ons. There's one that just stands up a little bit off a length. End of another tight over. Can I see how many overs that is? 15. Thank you very much. The answer was no. I can't see how many overs that is. We might need some help from the production team. Oh, be careful asking for Wi-Fi tricks. You might bring the entire operation down.
I have a light footprint online.
That's good. They're playing it down under for Annika Leroyd, who's on strike. Prendergast to continue. That's nicely timed, and that might go to the boundary. It does. Good shot from Annika Leroyd. Just a bit of width on offer from Orla Prendergast, and there's not much of a gap there, but there's enough. Oh no, let's not have this. There's a little... I'm just going to call this a little sprinkling of rain. This isn't... Right, actually, I don't even want to use the word rain.
Is it worse than...
I think this is going to blow through very quickly. I was accused of being pessimistic earlier with the weather, so I'm going to confidently suggest that this rain will blow through within 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, well, the cliffs in the background have kind of misted over. It looks like it's coming from square leg as the batter's standing at the moment. It does look like there is a little bit in the air. Maybe just not quite enough to interest Ben Peverell.
There's almost no point going
off.
off.
A flying ant just yet, but
Yes.
yeah, you do suggest that with the wind being quite strong that it will blow through relatively quickly if it does intervene. Lovely shot there from Leroyd.
Yeah, no, I reckon it's not sea fret. It's not a squall, but just one of those fast-moving showers by the sea. He says as it gets heavier. Batter's just coming for a bit of a discussion. I wonder why.
Watching the rain is maybe require a quick little comfort break. Ed, are you okay just taking the reins for a minute?
Absolutely. You know me.
While you ponder over the soils and insects and
I'm
wildlife?
going to go and take I was about to say I'll go and take a sample, but I was referring to soil rather than anything else, I promise you. Now it really is getting heavier, and I wonder if... No, we've just got dead ball signal. I do think the umpires must partly think the ground can take some water, and the only thing that can happen is the pitch gets covered.
because you're not going to get any protection for the rest of it, so you might as well just battle through it. Short ball, she's got that high up into the air, and it's going to land and go for 4, despite an athletic effort. So Jess Hazel gets the opportunity to have a bit of a free swing, and that brings up the 50 for Somerset. Somebody's excited. Woof, 50 up. Perhaps you didn't hear that on the stream. We do have a canine friend in the pavilion here as the rain continues to beat down. I mean, this is like you used to see in the old days when there's sometimes they used to just umpires. We're just not going off here. It's well run. Leg by signalled, in fact. I thought there might be a wide plus a bonus, but no. No, this is good. I mean, if we're gonna play on through this, I'd suggest that unless it is absolute monsoon level rain, we're probably just going to take the attitude of getting on with it. Driven in the air, put down at cover. And that's a life for Annika Leroyd, who's chastised herself. Certainly hit hard, and clearly hit hard enough for somebody who's got a very good pair of hands in Georgia Elwes to put that catch down. And that's a bonus for Somerset. Leroyd on 21. Needing a big score out of her. It's the man from down under again. I should have the female version of that for Annika Leroyd there. Catherine Bryce to continue. I do enjoy the fact that whilst the shower was going on, there was a fair amount of milling about. There's about 15 people who've congregated by the covers, but hopefully they're not going to be needed. I think that rain has indeed blown through. And in about 60 seconds' time, we'll have almost a beautiful summer's day again. You could imagine it was a beautiful summer's day sitting here inside. Trying to put the pressure on Jess Hazel here. The Blaze mentioned that there were 6 in the ring for Leroyd, but for Hazel only 2 fielders deep on the leg side, although they've now put deep cover back, so there is a single available. And that's dragged leg side. I mean, you can almost play Catherine Bryce a bit like a spinner, especially as she's looking for maximum swing. And that was almost a sort of shot that you might play off a spinner, quite a slog sweep. Got that cut shot away well as Leroyd in this innings. Emma Jones on the deep cover boundary. And that is big Luke Fletcher behind her. One of the most unmistakable figures in county cricket. So the end of a decent over there for Somerset, 54 for 3. There certainly are coffees about. Just looking down at the table below. The gentleman seems to have got himself 2 of them. And he's been quite brave peeling an orange in this wind. Oh, he's even got his own decanter. That's how to do it. Right, I think we've got another bowling change. And I think that is Lucy Hyam, who is having a little bit of difficulty removing her outer sweater. Excellent cricketer Lucy Hyam. I mean, on this card, she's down to come in at number 9, which is... It's almost rude, actually, having a batter of Hyam's quality coming in at 9. But here she is with her off breaks. Use of the feet immediately from Leroy. To the first look at spin we've had. Well, I feel a bit strange welcoming you to your own live stream, but Ben Warren's sat down next to me. How are you?
I'm good, Ed. Good afternoon, everyone. Still morning just, actually.
So I got temporarily put off there by this discussion on pronunciation over there. It's completely put me off my stride. She's yorked herself there. Won't get it past the sliding Catherine Bryce. So what time did you arrive this morning?
So yeah, we left Taunton about 7:15 this morning. After getting all of the kit. If we had a commentary box cam, you can see all sorts of cables and wires and things like that. It's the first time we've tried streaming at Exmouth. It's a beautiful ground, isn't it? And now the sun's out, it's at its absolute best with the sea view. But yes, outgrounds are always a challenge, and you're sort of dependent on connectivity. And so yeah, I do apologise for the slight reduction in quality. The reason why we're at 240p for those that are watching is that we've tried it in our testing this morning at 1080, 720, 480, and gradually got down to 360, and still nothing really of consistency. So we thought we'd rather give you a consistent feed that didn't break, and you can listen to Ed and Peter's wonderful commentary throughout the day rather than having a feed that breaks up. So touch wood, we're pretty smooth at the moment. But yeah, if we do get any further issues, we do apologise. It's something a little bit beyond our control with the location we're at. But what a fantastic ground, as I said.
Yeah, no, it is, as you say, it's always the thing when you go to an outground with Wi-Fi. But yeah, I could go into radio mode at some point, so it's always good to know that there's that up the sleeve. But
we wanted to come and give it a really good go, right? It's the first professional women's game on this ground under the new era, so we wanted to come and bring the cameras down, and we've had a few weather issues as well, so that's thrown into the mix. We got cameras under brollies and gazebos, so but that's part of the fun of it, isn't it? Outground cricket. We're very lucky at the Cooper Associates to have a set sort of setup that we have every week, but we want to get more involved in streaming outground games. We want to challenge ourselves to get better at it. Other grounds and other venues do it really, really well. So we're just on the start of that journey, and today we've learnt a lot. Got a stream out, and we'll go from there.
Optimistic shout, I think, for LBW there, is again angling down the leg side from Catherine Bryce. Do you know, in terms of how it came about that Exmouth was the venue for a couple of these outground games? Was it Devon who
who were keen for that?
Yeah, I mean, I know we've been coming here. I've been coming here for a few years personally, and with the Showcase National Counties Games has been here for the last couple of years and hosted again on Monday. And yeah, it's a really impressive setup. It's a beautiful ground, like just here looking over the sea, and you know, the facilities here at the bar are fantastic, and the pavilion is a new development, and you know, the crowds that I've seen here. It's a great shot.
Yeah, beautifully placed, wasn't it? It's just a little tuck off the hip area from Jess Hazel, and perfectly placed between deep square and fine leg. So she has moved her score into double figures and now moves on to 14. But yeah, I must say I was delighted when I saw that there were 2 games here, and that somebody had very kindly assigned me to them. I don't know who it was who did that, but
it is a fantastic venue. It really is a delight to be down here. It you know, and I think that the crowds that we've had at the National Counties Games that has been incredible. You know, we had over 700 people here, I believe, on Monday, and in the past there's been huge crowds for and the support down in Devon for Somerset cricket is enormous. So yeah, it's a great venue. So yeah, I think that's part of the reason why we're down here, really.
Yeah, and I mean, you just get the sense that everywhere around here, cricket is just such a huge part of the community. I mean, I came down on the train this morning and saw somebody with a massive, great cricket bag that they were actually struggling to get out of the train doors. I mean, you've got Exeter with all their set up there, Exeter University, which is more and more, I think, becoming one of the strongest cricket university setups in the country, which you know, you think back to the old times when you had your Oxfords and your Cambridges and your Durhams, and then, you know, maybe sort of Leeds moving in, I guess Loughborough as well, but Exeter's really positioning itself as one of the strongest, you know, cricketing setups university-wise, and then so many clubs in a relatively small area. Oh dear me, that's massively overpitched, but I think she'll get away with it. Yeah, there's a bit of a discussion between the umpires saying that yes, it did just dip in time. Hazel went into a bit of a low position. The last thing you want to do is go planting that into the hands of mid-wicket. But yeah, it's just always great to come to these sorts of places where you can feel like cricket is so much a huge part of almost people's everyday lives as much as.
Yeah, it really means something.
Else.
You can really get the sense for all the people that are here, volunteers from Exmouth Cricket Club, right the way through to all the people that have put in a lot of work to organise these sorts of events. You know, I know these things, you know, to put on a professional Metro Bank game of cricket at an outground is a huge undertaking. Not, you know, the stream is just one small part of that, but all the logistics around making this happen is, you know, it's a real effort from a lot of different people from Devon, from Somerset, and from Exmouth.
It's very short, but it doesn't get up a great deal. Ow! Annika Leroyd's just smashed her right leg with her bat in frustration that she's only hit that for a single. Slightly variable over this from Lucy Hyam. That's well watched by Jess Hazel. A bit of loop, not much pace to work with, but rotating the strike well this over. And I just think there's always something really nice about turning up to a ground as a spectator and you don't have the advertising boards around. I know why you have them, because you've got to make your money somehow, but
yeah,
you can just feel so close to the action here.
Some of our advertising boards have made it out to the ground. So yeah, massive thanks to our ground staff and to our sponsors, looking around the ground, Brown and Brown, Trade Nation, Aeronix, Cooper Associates, WPA Health Insurance, they've all made the journey. So yeah, nice little trip to the seaside for some of our sponsors in the form of ground boards.
Yes, hopefully they don't come back with any souvenirs courtesy of some goals or anything.
No, they are they've come straight from the pitch racing boards at Taunton, so hopefully they make it back in time for Friday's game in one piece, but I'm sure they will.
Right, here's Kirsty Gordon. And I mean, you don't want to tempt fate at all, but the singles are starting to come a bit more easily, and with the odd boundary as well. Does have the feeling that Somerset are getting the rebuild on with this partnership. Obviously they'd like it to go an awful lot further. Played again carefully by Leroy, just the odd delivery, little bit of extra bounce off a fuller length, and if you go too hard at those, you're probably looking at another catch for somebody.
Certainly seeing a bit of bounce, aren't we, out there, sort of tennis ball bounce. So it doesn't look the easiest pitch to score quickly on.
No, I mean, you'd sort of like to hope, and certainly from a Somerset point of view at the moment, you'd like to hope that as the white balls get softer, some of that variation just goes a bit, and you can really start to be confident and trust the bounce and the way that the ball's coming through. And of course these two have now spent a decent amount of time out in the middle, so should be getting more used to things as much as you can be. It'll be the blast before we know it.
It will, and we've got some breaking news that's just landed on our channels at 12 o'clock that James Rue's been picked in the England Test squad. So congratulations to James from everyone at Somerset County Cricket Club. Big news for
deserved
him.
Call up that, yeah. Excellent to hear that. So, yeah, he had the call up for the Zimbabwe Test, didn't he? But great to hear that he's been selected in that squad, and of course 3 Somerset players in the Women's T20 World Cup squad as well. It's big for the club.
Massively exciting summer for Charlie Dean, Heather Knight and Danny Gibson on the horizon, and great to see Charlie lead England home on Sunday with in a pretty tense match, but yeah, it's a great opportunity for her to captain the side, and you know, it'll just bring more confidence for her heading into a really important summer.
Yeah, I must say I didn't see the game. It's one of those things where you finished a day's work at about 7 p.m. You've been watching some fairly competitive and sort of topsy-turvy cricket, which has taken a bit out of me, and I didn't get to go back and watch the highlights of that game. Placed well through the covers. There's going to be a dive, which means that Somerset can turn it back for 2 runs. Good running between the wickets between Leroy and Jess Hazel. They've pushed it wherever they can. But there was almost, I wouldn't say there was never any doubt, because somebody had to keep Charlie Dean company, but she's just made it so much of her business in recent times. So often she's been the one lower down the order that's rescued England in those sorts of situations. I think she did it a couple of times in a couple of summers ago when Sri Lanka came over, and obviously from her point of view, in terms of starting what I'm sure has every chance of being a long captaincy career. That's great to see. England winning by 1 wicket with debutant Tilly Courtine-Coleman at the other end. And I guess we're probably not too far away from the start of the second match of that series, just under an hour away, I think. I think it's a day-night game at Northampton today.
Yeah, that's right, it's today. Critical phase, this, isn't it? That against the spin that that these two can really sort of rotate the strike well and start to build that partnership that they can then attack the latter overs.
Yeah, famous last words, but it doesn't look to be a massive amount of spin out there. But with canny operators like these, you've got to watch that flight and that dip and the variation in length as Somerset's recovery continues at 76 for 3 now. I think my memory was the score was 33 when the last wicket fell, just because it was easy to remember with it being all the threes. So this is already a very handy partnership.
Yeah, and I think it attests to that some of the dismissals we saw earlier were about that sort of lack of pace, that tennis bally bounce. You know, we saw 2 chop-ons. We saw, I think it was Leroy dropped it cover to when it played slightly early. So it does sort of attest to sort of a slow sort of tennis bally bouncy sort of pitch, which could bring a lot of Somerset spinners into the game later on.
Gordon repositioning her field. You don't turn down an order from Kirsty Gordon. If she points you to go somewhere, you are going there. But no, I mean, I only partly say that in jest. She demands high standards out of her team, and to be honest, usually gets it. Whilst they did have a bit of an issue at the semi-final stage last year, it's sort of a nice issue to have to keep getting into knockout.
They look
matches.
a very serious outfit, don't they? The Blaze. They've been right on the money.
Nicely punched by Leroy, back past a diving Gordon. But yeah, I mean, it's a unit that's been pretty much together with just a couple of additions for a number of years now. I mean, Emma Jones has come in from Surrey. They've got Prendergast as an overseas player, but even she's come for, I think, 3 parts of 3 seasons now, certainly anyway, and it's just another fantastic all-round cricketer to slot into this side. Whacked away.
Use a cap there.
Yeah, it was a towel.
A towel.
Yeah. I suppose a little bit of moisture on top of this hard, dry outfield after that sprinkling of a shower. No signs as I look out to my right of the next one being particularly close, which is good news. But yeah, they've gone through their own, I suppose, not sure if growing pains is really the right word, but thinking back a number of years now, the Blaze used to be the Lightning, and they were based in Loughborough, so whilst it's excellent facilities at Loughborough, and I can attest to what the quality of the pitches would be like, because the new head of grounds at Bristol was certainly, if not head of, was heavily involved with preparing the pitches at Loughborough, and England don't go there for their prep, both men and women, for no reason. But at the same time, we talk a lot about Somerset having that base at Taunton now, feeling fully settled and integrated into the environment there. And for a while, the Lightning was spread between Loughborough, had a few games probably at Derby, Leicester here and there, but now much more settled in terms of having made that move to Trent Bridge. So it's dragged leg side by Hazel, but
yeah, it's a great point. I think that you can't underestimate the difference it's had for this Somerset team to have a base and to have a home. It's sometimes in county cricket and cricket in general, it's just the players aren't robots. There's having a dedicated training facility, a home, feeling welcomed. These things really do have impacts on the pitch, and I think that it's been fantastic to sort of see how almost our club has just become into a space where it feels very normalised that we've got 2 teams now, and and that's a credit to everyone at the club to.
Oh, careful! Yeah, that was. You could see that happening as the two fielders converged at deep mid-wicket. It's Emma Jones and Charlie Phillips, and that's something that I'm afraid you're seeing more and more in the game as the commitment levels are just extraordinary in the field, and thankfully both of them have got up, not able to prevent the boundary. But you talk about calling for catches, but it's harder there when you're running full pelt. You can't stop immediately, and there was nearly a very nasty collision, but fortunately all okay.
Yeah, it's a good outfield, but we are on a club ground, so I think it's also quite sand based. I think with where in just the location we're at. So yeah.
I mean, I can tell you, the Blaze will have played plenty of cricket at Derby, and I'm not doing Derby down. They'll say it themselves because they're actually due to have their outfield, I think, relayed this winter, so they know it's been something that has been a thing. Chelmsford's another place where you, especially as it gets a bit drier, to be honest, most outfields will struggle if and when it gets extremely dry and baked, and different parts of the outfield will be behaving differently from others. But I must say, you can get some bounces at somewhere like Derby anyway. The outfield here, whilst you're going to have to watch the bounces, I don't think so far we've seen anything particularly untoward. It's just a little bobble if you get anything at all. Oh, that's a good piece of bowling from Gordon as she's got through. So that breaks the partnership. 86 for 4. So not long after the 50 partnership was brought up, it would have been brought up with that boundary through the covers.
It's really
that
well
one
bowled.
just sneaks through, and Jess Hazel has to go.
Looks like it's gripped a little bit, and just I think she was looking to play that to leg, but really well bowled. Good flight, just dipped, and unfortunately we're not completely straight on to know whether that, but it looked a little bit like it spun.
Yeah, I mean, if it also just holds a little bit, you've got to time that roll of the wrists against the spin, haven't you? And really, all it's got to do is just straighten ever so slightly. I'm assuming we're having a bit of a drinks break here because one of the umpires has just walked directly down below us. So
yeah, 24.1. So
grief, are we halfway through already?
We're halfway through. Time flies.
This is absolutely flying.
But yeah, just a reminder, if you're tuning in, thanks so much for all of your support of the live stream. We are on a slightly reduced bit rate on YouTube today, well, very reduced due to the connectivity down here by the sea in Exmouth. So yeah, apologies that we're only coming out at 240p, but that is the maximum we can gain to maintain a stable connection. So thank you for bearing with us. Hopefully you're still able to follow the game, and yeah, we're trying our best with what we've got available.
We certainly are. I mean, of course I would say that, but it's remarkable that you can just take any sort of a setup to somewhere that you're effectively just starting from scratch at the beginning of the day almost, and going from there and seeing what you can get working. But yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and hopefully, as Ben says, you're still able to get a bit of a flavour of what it's like here, and enjoy following along with the game. It doesn't look as though Somerset are going to be able to think about accelerating too much in the next little phase, because they're going to need a bit of time to build the partnership. But the one thing that you do know with Katie Jones coming out to the middle is that she is a very positive player anyway. She'll quite enjoy, I would imagine, coming out with spin at both ends as well. Very strong against spin. She's got all the tricks, reverse sweeps, the paddles, the ramps, all that sort of thing. She's obviously going to have to be judicious as ever about when to bring them out, but
she batted very well at Taunton Vale,
yes,
didn't she, against
she
Essex?
did.
So not in totally unsimilar circumstances. So I think Somerset need to ensure that they can get to the last 10 overs and still have at least 4 wickets in hand to accelerate really. So hopefully Annie can bat through and get through to that 40 over period herself, but she's going to need some support in that.
Yeah, Alex Griffiths would be due in next, having a phenomenal season, especially with the ball, and then you still feel quite happy whilst Chloe Skelton's still there, and you think back to, I suppose, Western Storm days when she would come in at maybe number 10, and there were plenty of examples even then of her coming in and either getting Storm, I nearly said Somerset then, it's happening already, getting Storm some sort of a total to bowl at, or maybe denying the opposition a bonus point or something like that. But now she's got the ability to come in and play those really quite sparkling innings at a strike rate of well over a run a ball in both her last 2 innings, which were both 50s. So be hoping that form continues, and then the excitement, if you weren't with us up front, of Jasmine Westley making her Somerset debut, and it's always a tricky sort of balance to strike as Jones faces up to her first ball, because there will be people going, is that relative of, who don't know, but you don't want to overdo it, but yes, it is relative of.
Yeah,
she is the cousin of.
See, Blaze have got a pretty tight field in here to try and prevent singles. I'll be keen to keep the pressure on over these next couple of overs. Really sort of use this opportunity with that 4th wicket to really put a lid on the scoring rate.
I think Gordon is almost every over it feels like she's taking more and more pace off here. Just realising that actually, when you put a bit more pace on it, it really is allowing the batters to use that. That's a good strike to get off the mark, and there will be a couple of runs. Strong arm out in the deep, and well, she does like a dive, does Katie Jones, so I'm not entirely sure whether she absolutely needed to do that, but her namesake from the deep sent in a good throw. There are a ridiculous number of Joneses. I'm not going to make the blindingly obvious joke, but it feels as though pretty much every team in domestic women's cricket has at least one Jones. And the Blaze would have had Amy as well before the international summer started. So a bright start to Katie Jones's innings with a couple and then another single. So 89 for 4, I think, if I can read the reflection right.
Yep, 89 for 4. And the sun is very much shining. It's the best weather spell we've had all day. It's very windy here at Exmouth, so we're constantly getting darker clouds blowing over. But it's when the sun's out, it really is beautiful here.
I suppose it is the one thing with Exmouth. There's quite a lot of open water for the breeze to blow in from, because you're, well, I don't know, you're more than half surrounded by water on this ground. Mid-off and mid-on brought up here, so Kirsty Gordon tempting Katie Jones into something straight, but I mean, she'll know that she is strong with, as mentioned, those sort of sweep shots. But what we saw in that innings from Taunton Vale was also that power that she's developed down the ground, like a lot of the Somerset batters in the last few years have been working hard on that sort of range hitting, the power hitting, and Jones now has that real confidence that she could clear the field, but possibly it will be a brave move to take it on at this stage. Helped in the air, it's going to fall short. Deep mid wicket.
I think the pitch is sort of is really sort of, you can see the field here. There's quite a lot of sweepers square of the wicket, and I think that because of the extra bounce, the slightly tennis ball bounce, it's going to be quite difficult to hit down the ground. We've not seen
Yeah.
too many
You
shots.
almost have to flat bat it.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of boundary cover square of the wicket, and I think a lot of boundary options would be your sort of sweeps, your pull shots, your sort of. I think hitting down the ground over the top is going to be a real challenge, and the Blaze are currently set a field to sort of almost challenge Leroyd and Jones to say, okay, come over mid-off if you want. But I think that's going to be a really tough ask on this pitch.
Yeah, and it's not too often you see one of those short, straight, mid-on type positions in white ball cricket as well. Again, she's not one Kirsty Gordon for shying away from a bit of innovative captaincy, but also trying to stop that, especially to an off spinner, that classic, especially 50 over shot, just rock back and knock the ball through long on. You see so many times, although it's going to be available for Jones here, possibly because I wouldn't mind her on strike, although not that Lucy Hyam's going to let it through off her own bowling. So last ball of that over. And 91 on the board for Somerset for the loss of 4.
Yeah, another good over there for the Blaze. Doing a really good job of keeping a lid on this scoring rate, and that's we're just entering this phase now, I think, of the next 5 overs where it's a bit of chess in terms of trying to get through to 35 overs plus with a bit of momentum.
Are you an expert on soil, Ben?
Absolutely not.
No, I mean, I don't know if you saw this earlier, but we had a bit of information passed our way about the ground and the fact that we are right around a nature reserve as well.
Yeah. I mean, when I came here last year, we went and got some footage from the sort of the dunes over the way, and it really is stunning. There's some beautiful photos that you can take of this place. So it's one where you want to kind of put a drone up if it wasn't about to get blown away into the sea, but
or a gull attacks it thinking it's after its chicks or something. That gets through short mid wicket, hit powerfully enough by Leroy just for a single. A bit of pace taken off it. Yeah, I must say I do enjoy a little bit of bird watching. I believe it's on the rise, he says, trying to make it seem as if it's because he's actually quite young, when it's in fact probably because he's very old. But I did notice an article the other day suggesting that bird watching was on the rise amongst Gen, I can't call them Z. It's
Gen
Z. There's one of them over there. But no, it'd certainly be a good place for it, and up on the cliffs you can get a great view out over the sea, and well, the piece of paper mentions skylarks, so things like that. Your meadow pipits, get those nesting there possibly. Total inching up towards 3 figures, but it still feels as though they're having to be pretty circumspect here.
If you were the Blaze, Ed, what would you be looking at a score that you'd like to restrict?
Well,
this phase.
I mean, from this point, I think the over/under may be something like 220. If Somerset could get a roundabout there, then I think they've got something to bowl at. And of course, it may not have been I don't know. Maybe it was the number that they might have been looking for. But I think you always give yourself a chance, especially when you're probably going to have a little bit to work with in the second innings. You give yourself a chance with that sort of a score. Equally, if it's anything less than that, then I think the Blaze would feel they've got, I mean, somebody like a Tammy Beaumont, you just know that they've got the ability just to, really dig in and say, okay, I might not be scoring at more than about 3 and over, but you're not getting me out.
Yeah, and I think for Tammy and I think it's almost that new ball period in the second innings could be the easiest time to score. Maybe I think that this ball's going to get softer and it might become harder to hit as the innings goes on. So yeah, I would agree. I think 225. If the Blaze can restrict Somerset to less than 225, I think they'll be feeling very comfortable with their morning's work.
And I still sort of get the impression that Somerset are going to have to accelerate a bit to get there. Not wildly so, but I still get the impression Leroy has probably got to be the one just to stay there and really try and bat through as much of this innings as possible. Georgia Elwes bowling as well, with Blaze returning to some seam, but a little bit of pace off from Elwes, an extremely canny bowler, somebody that is well, I was going to say a past master. It's just the language. It's the way the language was unfortunately written. Carved away to the fielder in the deep. Little bit of a bobble for a moment. I thought Leroy was going to charge back for a second, but probably wisely sticks with the one. But yeah, Georgia Elwes, a fantastically experienced cricketer. I mean, you look at a very, for the most part, young but exciting Somerset side and a Blaze side who, I mean, there's just absolutely bags of experience. I think Charlie Phillips would probably be the least experienced of the Blazes side. And other than that, there'll be several players there, I reckon, who'll have played over 100 List A matches.
Good tight bowling from Elwes. Just since that fall of the fourth wicket, they haven't bowled any short balls, any full tosses. It's been very professional.
Yeah, Kirsty Gordon, I was looking the other day, certainly played.
So we can see on the live stream it, just to give you an idea of just how close we are to the sea. We can see it very much over our shoulders, and if you were to come out of the ground, there's one little road and you'd be on the beach. So what a beautiful place to be.
Now, I'm not being pedantic, but where does the sea start and the estuary stop?
Might have to get my Google Maps out to.
Well, I just mean even in general, because is it right where you sort of draw a line between the two halves of whatever you'd say, the headland or whatever? Is it right? Is it right on the furthest line you can draw?
It's the height of technology here.
We've
got Google
is it the
Maps
narrowest
out.
point, or is it absolutely where the water turns, into full-on seawater?
I reckon behind the wicket's the sea.
Oh, another inside edge. You could see that one from here. Definitely in front of us. That's got to be sea. And I reckon, my guess is that it probably is where the camera was pointing, but any further round.
And I reckon you're an estuary.
Yeah.
I reckon that's our. Someone on the live stream who's
somebody in the comments has got a
good knowledge of Exmouth. Let us know when the.
Is that out? It is. Yeah, stumped. It looked like she dragged her foot there. I just had to peer around to see the finger of doom being raised from square leg. They were appealing, I think, to both umpires, but it's Ant Harris who's raised the finger, and Katie Jones departs. Kirsty Gordon, another canny piece of bowling, just taking the pace off and tempting Jones into reaching for that drive, and she as much as she reached for it, it just never seemed to quite get there, and hence overbalance, and Sarah Bryce doing the rest behind the stumps. So Somerset 5 down.
Sharp work from Sarah Bryce, wasn't it? And yeah, Katie Jones just a little bit again, that dip, that bounce hasn't quite got to Katie Jones, and she's through the shot and don't need much, and you're a goner, unfortunately. So yeah, another really important wicket for the Blaze.
Yeah, and it's tricky. As
mentioned, it's not the easiest batting conditions out there, and if you're somebody like Katie Jones, I kind of feel, even though she does like batting against the spin, as I say, it sort of feels she does enjoy the ball coming to her a bit and just really wanting to get at the ball there, be positive, which is, to say, what she looks to do. But now it's Alex Griffiths who comes out, who did score some runs in that extraordinary super over game that was played here last year against Durham, so she does have some experience of batting on this pitch. That was an absolutely fantastic game of cricket. That it really was. It went from, I think Somerset was something like 54 without loss, chasing 124 or something like that, and then Griffiths was in the middle with the number 11. I'm trying to remember. I think it might have been Liv Barnes, but they needed 17 off the last 2 overs to affect the tie, and thanks to Griffiths got there.
All I can remember from that game, and it was the Women's County Cup fixture, wasn't it? That it clashed with the game at the Cooper Associates and the men, and we had Lily, our social media person last year, was trying to sort of live stream the super over off her phone, because we had, again, the connectivity here was just not the best. It's just trying to sort of, oh my god, there's a super over, we just have to try and do something, and it was a challenge, but it was all a little bit carnage as we were trying to like watch it from Taunton, and
Bess Heath ended up winning the game for Durham. A couple of reverse sweeps off Charlie Dean, who bowled so well in the, well, I almost said in regulation, but I don't really know how you refer to the non-super over parts of a super over game, but we won't get one of those today. Everyone loves I say everyone loves a super over. I think everyone loves a super over. Possibly not the New Zealand men's team, but
scorers probably don't like a super over.
I don't know what you do. What do you do? Do you use the extra bit of space that you sometimes get in the scorebook, with the extra overs, because you only need, I suppose, 4 overs for a T20, so you've got some space there. But how do you, or do you use a completely different page? Ow, that's going to have hit Georgia Elwes hard. That was creamed by...
Really well fielded.
Alex Griffiths.
Yeah, I think that the scoring system that we use in professional cricket, that a lot of people will be familiar with, also who play club cricket, PCS Pro, I think that it's got a super over button somewhere in it.
Oh, that's no fun. That looks pretty close, but the umpire pretty much immediately, Ant Harris puts his arms down by his sides, maybe just going down, but...
Looked like it was pretty good on height, but I think going down again, we're not quite in line here at in our commentary position, but it was pretty firm shake of the head early on.
It was turned down so quickly. There was obviously something that was desperately wrong with it, even though it, as you say, from long on it didn't look too bad. Either there was a bit of edge or maybe just sliding. Oh, that's gone through as well. It's a nice bit of life from Georgia Elwes. And there was a bit of bat or glove on that.
Yeah, again, it's bounced, doesn't it, from the off a length. So, really good piece of bowling. Not too much I think the keeper could really, Sarah Bryce could really do about that. But it was very well bowled.
Just giving yourself a little bit of space there. Leroy, a punchy shot through the covers. They want 2, and they'll get 2. Now that makes it that ruins the fun if you're going to start using your software to score. It's pen, papers, and colours. Well, it's the 100 up. There we go. I better mention that 100 up.
Somerset. Yeah, I mean PCS Pro has been a bit of a game changer really in terms of what it powers. It powers a lot of live stream overlays that you can see, but a lot of the professional scorers now, first commitment has to be to the computer. A lot still do
Yeah.
have books, but the first sort of button press is always on the PCS Pro, and then the book second. A lot of scorers now are scoreboard operators as well, so they're powering the in-ground scoreboards. So
Yes, tell me about it. We had a situation a couple of days ago where there was a wicket or a run out on the same ball where they'd already taken a single, and there were a few issues there. So I'm not going to name any names, but apparently there's a column that you have to put the sort of the main fielder and then like an assistant fielder maybe, and unfortunately the main fielder had been put in the assistant's column, so that caused all sorts of issues. And for a while on the scoreboard we had wicket plus 2 no ball plus 3 leg by, which, can you I mean that would have been, if that had actually happened, that would have been something out of that So Village, if you ended up with a ball where that actually happened. A little bit shorter, Griffiths running it through the offside again. There's eagerness for a second, but this time it's a short throw, so no opportunity to come back. But no, I don't know, I used to, oh no, no, I'm going to reveal myself in. I don't think anybody could think that I was any more of a tragedy than I am anyway, but did you used to score with the colours?
yeah, I think that was always the sign of a good the sort of the level above scorer, wasn't it? The one that would do the different colours.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't
multicolour
really
pair.
ever properly do it.
It's well bowled again. A lot of air. Got plenty of players saving one here to really put pressure on.
Yeah, and I kind of like that fielder standing next to the batter, because so you do just know there's going to be a lot of balls played down the ground, and just sometimes, even if the fielder's there right in the eye line, you just get that flick of the wrist mistimed and the ball just goes up in the air and ended up planting a catch somewhere.
It's really unusual in white ball cricket, isn't it, to have a sort of silly mid on and a long on. So inventive field placings, but yeah, Blaze here are they're comfortable. They're really comfortable. They can really bowl, flight the ball up, invite pressure, knowing that Somerset can't really take too many risks for the next 5 to 10 overs. So
yeah, I mean that's the thing, isn't it? You really do have to take quite a big risk in order to pierce a field like this, and look great if it comes off, but another one here, it's not, as mentioned, there's still batting to come, it's not curtains, but Blaze know that there's a pretty big reward for them to get if they can force that sort of big shot, and at some point they'll know that. I keep peering over to see the overs. There we go, 30-31. At some point they'll know that Somerset will have to try and find a few more boundaries. It's a good immediate call from Alex Griffiths. Kirsty Gordon can't prevent the single to mid-on.
yeah, you sort of get out a jail shot if if the pressure's rising, to use your feet to the spinners and go over the top, or even to Elwes is to hit down the ground. And as we mentioned earlier, that is a real high risk shot on this pitch. So the Blaze have got their field absolutely spot on here, and they're able to squeeze, and anything just slightly short is only going for one, knowing that if one of the Somerset batters does hit down the ground over the top, it's going to need to be a really well timed shot, otherwise it could go very wrong.
Just thinking back to the T20, I mean, there's obviously several double headers again, some standalone fixtures as well. It's again punched well by Leroy, who's been strong through that offside in terms of finding a way of accessing that offside sweeper when she's needed it, just to keep the scoreboard rotating. but yeah, I mean, from from my point of view, it's always nice to have a little bit of a. I guess the double headers have really been so successful. Good drop and run there, and some applause from down below. The double headers have been really successful in terms of getting people into the women's game and driving people through the gates, and I'm sure there'll be some more really exciting afternoons / evenings at the Cooper Associates County Ground to come. I think everyone can't wait for the blast to start.
Yeah, Friday week is fast approaching, and that's Somerset men and women's first T20. It's a great fixture to have, a double header against Hampshire. So there are less than 500 tickets remaining. It's we got a brand new stand that's coming in thanks to Rotec Hydraulics, who've enabled that to happen. And so we've got 500 seats mostly in that stand that we've just launched. So
yeah. Is that a larger stand next to the Colin Atkinson?
It's between the Marcus Truscothick Pavilion and the Ondaatje family stand. So it's sort of in where the covers would sit, just around the corner from there. So yeah, the stand's in. It was used for the Yorkshire County Championship game, but it's now available to book for the blast. And yeah, massive thanks to Rotec for their support in sponsoring that stand and allowing us to bring 400 more people to the blast every year. So every game. So yeah, it's we've not got many left. So I know hearing from the guys in the office this morning, the phones have been busy with people booking up those tickets. So yeah, great occasion next Friday for Sophie Luff, her team, Lewis Gregory, his team, and yeah, Vitality Blast is not far away.
You mentioned that stand. I was watching, I think, the entirety of the Yorkshire match on the stream, as I didn't have anything on myself that week, which is always nice. You do a bit of stream hopping as that's down the leg side for a wide. It shows you how observant I am, because I genuinely didn't notice it.
I think I think it just sort of fits in naturally. It
must be it.
You know, it'll look great. The Rotec branding's gone in now, so yeah, it will stand out nice. And yeah, got some really good feedback from people that were sat in it during the Yorkshire games. So yeah, really fantastic that we've always been keen to try and get more people in at Taunton for T20 cricket. It's trying to find the right ways to do that, and yeah, thanks to Rotec who've brought on this opportunity to help bring more people into the ground.
It's just a little bit of a moment of concern here, because I thought that the fielder at that short straight mid-on had managed to get a hand on it, but it seems as though it's either directly or indirectly hit that fielder in the face or in the head, and immediately there's the call for a concussion check. Thankfully not in that position with the head back on the ground for too long, so hopefully everything is okay, but never the easiest position to field anyway. And of course you're far enough away just that you think that, well, I don't need a helmet to field there, but if it's hit as hard as these batters can hit it, and you're having to judge exactly where the bounce is coming, it's not the best. So it's going to be a little bit of a stoppage in play as all the protocols are rightly gone through. I might see if I can tempt fate and not use the Wi-Fi, I hasten to add, and just have a look and see what's happening in the other
anyone who
one-day
uses
cup games today.
their hotspots is being severely punished for using up valuable coverage from the stream. So
exactly, you are our priority. You listening? So Hampshire playing Yorkshire at York. I love York. I mean, I love
Beautiful
the city,
ground.
but yeah, you've had a game there.
Yeah, Somerset played a Metrobank game there last year, I think.
Yeah, well, I've covered a men's 50 over game from there. It's wonderful. I mean, as far as getting to go up the night before or the day before, have a bit of a explore around York, great museums, and then just so actually it's not the balcony area to our right reminded me a bit of the balcony area on top of the pavilion at York Cricket Club, because we were out there on the balcony, gorgeous summer's day, huge crowd in. It was a fantastic game as well. So yeah, I must admit I'm quite jealous of Hampshire and Yorkshire playing there today. Hampshire 75 for 2. And they've had a bit of rain there, so I'm not jealous of that because they're down to a 45 over a side match. But Hampshire going along fairly decently, as the concussion check seems to have been completed, thankfully, with everything a-okay. Lancashire 41 for 2, another reduced game. That's at Southport, as Leroy immediately gets moving again after the brief interlude. Lancashire taking on Warwickshire, so apparently it's just cricket by the sea day in Women's One Day Cup land, and they've decided to play the international at Northampton, which is probably about as far away from the sea as you can get.
It's pretty central, yeah. It's well bowled again, just as we can see some gulls and some birds fighting over. I think that was a pie down. Does that look like a pie?
It does. The Blaze haven't been lobbing up any pies, but there's one that...
Can we cut to the pie? Oh, there's the birds. I think the pie's gone.
The pie's just been stolen. The Crow's trying to work out exactly who's nicked it.
So when we talk about seaside cricket, it's exactly the sort of thing that we... Ice cream, fish and chips, seagulls. Yeah.
In fact, I can tell you that they're not getting underway on time in the ODI either, so it's a pitch inspection which apparently took place 3 minutes ago, but the toss has been delayed, so there's clearly a bit of rain about. I thought that goal was about to go and land on a couple of the Blaze backup players' heads then, but just decided against it and knocked down at deep cover. Leroy back for another couple of runs.
He was on to 45,
40s,
Leroy,
yeah.
so she's batted very well here for Somerset, just keeping this innings, holding it together. But she'll be very, very desperate to go on and turn this into a really significant score.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's been an innings of maturity and kind of accepting of the conditions and the match situation, rather than trying to, I suppose, force something that's not there. She's found a method of batting that has got her through a lot of singles, but pushing the ones and the twos, and realising that even though there's a quick outfield and there's plenty of gaps with the Blaze having set fairly attacking fields, that you just got to restrain yourself a bit.
Also, I'd just like to point out that I was only due to come on air for 5 minutes, whilst Peter Trigo had a very quick phone call. We've not seen him since. I reckon he's gone for a dip in the sea.
Do you reckon that was his pie? It would serve him right if it was.
He's gone for fish and chips pie.
Well, at risk
of 5 minutes.
At risk of overdoing it with the sea trout steak, if he's gone for one of those, that I must say, it's what I expected from Exmouth, and it's delivered. To be honest, actually, you can't. I mean, I know Trig said give him some battered cod, but we're a nation surrounded by water, and yet
you don't seem to be able to get most of the seafood that we seem to get out of the water in the UK. Which I don't really understand where it all goes.
No.
It must all be sold for export, I suppose, but it's a bit of a shame. Such a rich variety of tasty food out there, and you don't get to see very much of it. Anyway, whilst I lament that, it's 112 for 5.
Well, if anyone is listening and around the Exmouth area and you do see Peter Trigo, feel free to let him know that he's due back on air any moment. But
I haven't seen a supercar leaving the ground.
I think he was meant to take a phone call, but I guess the connectivity here might have mean he was trying to
Let him off with that one, are you?
dial it in. Triggers will be back
At some point.
at some point.
Actually, as I can see, a gull has landed on the top of the scoreboard, and there are some words there that say proper fish and chips. So if the gull can read, perhaps it's expecting them. There's going to be a boundary here for Annika Leroyd, a slicing drive, but she'll absolutely take that, and that, I believe, is her half century. Well batted, Annika Leroyd. It's been tough, hard work.
3 boundaries in that 50 just gives you a really good understanding, and obviously one just coming from the edge there. So just goes to show how much she's had to fight for this one.
Yeah, you almost start to apply the sort of 4-day adjectives to it, sort of gritty and grinding out the runs, but she's done that, and so it's often these sorts of situations where, especially when you've lost your skipper in Sophie Luff, who's somebody that so often you'd look to get Somerset out of this sort of a situation, but you need your overseas player to step up, and that's what's happened. Griffiths looking for something a bit more expansive there, but well short of long on and only a single.
Well, I'm sure Alex Griffiths will be looking for boundary options, you know, 'cause she's a very positive player. And be really interested to see what she goes to here to try, over the next sort of period of time, to try and find those boundary options. But she just needs to stay calm here and support Leroy, get through to the latter stages with her in and striking well. Could be a really good combination for Somerset.
Yeah, I mean, they're not far off, you'd hope, guaranteeing that they first of all bat the 50, because that's the most important thing. Just use every ball that's available. But beyond that is the question of what you do then with the remaining time, what point you pull the trigger, those sorts of decisions that are best made by those out in the middle assessing conditions and the match position over by over. But what they do know is that they're not really going to be let in by the Blaze. They're going to be able to, I suppose, find some spaces for singles, but the Blaze are not bowling them any boundary balls. I can't remember the last time a genuine boundary ball was bowled.
No, they've been excellent, the Blaze, and 35 overs into this innings now, they've never really lost control of this innings from a bowling point of view, so they'll be really happy. But there's still 15 overs to go, and I think if Somerset can still be 5 down at 40, they'll back themselves still to get over 200.
Maybe, or not quite one final question. I did see an apparition briefly to my right, suggesting that you might be relieved fairly soon. But I may regret asking this question. Spooned in the air, it'll fall short of mid-off, though. What is a frog box? I can see one of these in front of me. You know, you hear mad as a box of frogs, but what's a frog box?
So it's interesting you mentioned that, Ed, because out of all of the cables and wires and boxes that you can see in this room,
is that the vital
that
piece?
is the one that isn't ours.
Oh.
So a frog box is what I believe Exmouth used to do with their stream. So it's like you can buy a frog box, and for a lot of clubs around the country use frog box to have like a fixed camera stream of their club games. So yeah, of all of the cables, the wires, and the machinery that we've lugged from Taunton, that's the one that was already there this morning when we arrived.
Great. I didn't regret asking it. But yes. No,
But
I just like the brand name, because some like there's a piece of kit that I haven't personally used but has been used on some of our broadcasts called a Raspberry Pi, which sounds absolutely delicious. But I made the mistake once of asking somebody exactly what that was, and that's punched through mid-on, and it's a lovely shot. It really is. And
It's well fielded.
I'm not. Well, it was certainly very close to ball being in contact with hand whilst rope was being shoved a good 2 feet, but it looks as though it's going to be 2 runs.
Benefit of the doubt to the fielder, I think. But I think if it was an international game, we might have been having another little look at that one. But
is that 2 runs? They come through for 3, I think.
It's a really good shot from Alex Griffiths, because it says, we were saying, it is hard to hit down the ground. So to get that straight of mid on is it's a good effort to get that straight of mid on and nearly to the boundary.
Yeah, almost that release shot that Griffiths would have been after. I mean, she's starting to build an innings here. One up, one back for Leroy. Does that completes the over?
End of the over, and I've just spotted Mr. Trigo. So I'm going to hand back over to Triggs. Thanks to everyone again for watching the stream. Again, if you're just joining in, apologies for the low bit rate on this one. We're battling connectivity challenges here on the Devon coast, but hopefully you're still enjoying the stream. Lots of people working really hard behind the scenes to bring it to you. So enjoy the game, and I'll hand back over to Peter Trigo.
Thanks so much, Ben. A fantastic stint, and there you go. You've heard from the man who makes it all happen.
Well, we've heard
Or
about
one of the men who makes
we've
it
heard
all
about
happen.
low bit rates, and like I said, he's been very modest to the team, but Ben does an awful lot of work. And I left commentary, you were talking about monkfish and chips, and now I popped my head back in, you're talking about raspberry cream pies.
Raspberry
or
pies,
something. Raspberry
yeah.
pies. So we can confirm that Ed Seaborn is starving hungry.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't help. There's some very nice looking food, scones, jam and cream being prepared behind us, which will excite you.
Is there? And
They
you think
look-
that's for us? That's not PMOA.
They look phenomenal.
PMOA areas that are always an absolute delight as a broadcaster these days around
Well,
these grounds.
yeah, Devon is famed for the old scones, jam and cream, and there's that sort of age-old debate, isn't it? Is it jam then cream or cream then jam? Answers on a postcard.
Yeah. Or maybe on a scone. I prefer my cream and jam on a scone rather than a postcard.
Definitely a scone.
But I'm
I'd say jam, then a dollop on top of the cream.
I would as well, but
And a
but
bit
I'm
of jam on top to make it look pretty.
realise that I'm alienating some of our audience there. So perhaps I should have said the opposite for balance.
Talking about easy on the eye, though, second time I've watched live Annika Leroy bat. Really, really good technician, like clean striker of the ball, and putting up a great shift at the moment. She's on 53 at the moment. Alex Griffiths supporting after a little bit of a mid-order collapse. Jess Hazel did well, contributing, is it 36? But very much coming towards the crunch end of this innings, and really key that Annika's batting as many of these 50 overs as she possibly can.
A little bit short and fired away through mid-wicket, and once again the fielder has to make sure that that doesn't bobble past. Through for a couple. Griffiths yet to find the boundary, although I have to say she came probably as close to finding it as it's possible to get without doing so.
Yeah, that
down
looked,
in front of us.
That looked like the TV cameras would have had a good little look at that one. It was certainly a bit of a rope interaction while the ball was being flicked.
It was
back,
a bit
but
ropey.
but it's so difficult, as a player to know exactly when the ball's left your hand in contact. I think you get a suggestion, but I suppose as a fielder you always want to be the best outcome and not get any stares from the bowler or captain. So a bit of artistic license there. But yeah, Somerset I think are certainly on path for an under par score, but competitive, and like most, you see even in the first innings, the effect of early wickets in that power play is massive, and I think that's what this game is the trajectory of the game is gonna really hinge on. Is Somerset going to have to strike early on? Really important that players of the quality of Leroyd and Griff, Skelton, who obviously came off the back of that 77 in the previous game.
Yes, well, it was a 70 and a 60, wasn't there? I think it was. I think you're right. It was the 70 in the last game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, she's
60 against Warwickshire.
She's in really good form as well. So really is key that the three batters left on show do a lion's share of the work, as that is swatted almost like a forehand smash, tennis style, back down the ground for a one bounce four. Great power there, because that was an unconventional delivery. Let's say, I'm actually probably challenging the waistline for a no ball.
Yeah, you'd have thought it must be close. I mean, there was one that Hyam bowled earlier that looked as if it had just dipped in time, but that one was very close to being over waist height.
Brilliantly put away there. It's not an easy delivery to sort of put away. It kind of surprised you, especially when they're around the waistband. You're obviously looking down towards the pitch, trying to work out what sort of shot you're going to play if it lands short or pitched on the wicket. You're not really trying to line up a waist-high full toss. It was brilliantly executed, the attacking shot down the ground, and remarkable that she hit it so straight.
Yeah, I mean, you've got three fielders deep on the onside boundary if you think that you've got hold of it, and then you just haven't. It's another very short ball, but you do see with these short ones they don't get up a great deal. Leroy rocks onto the back foot and is hoping for some nice length that she can pick up, and then has to just almost dive down after the ball a bit.
Yeah, on the whole though, it's been an impressive performance in the field by the Blaze. Well capped in the field settings have all made a lot of sense. You kind of imagine yourself at the crease as a batter, a lot of orange shirts in front of you blocking off those easier to pick off singles, and I think the fielding out on the now offside boundary, Tammy Beaumont's out there at the moment. She's saved countless runs diving all over the place on what is quite a hard surface. Despite the rain we've had, it's a very firm ground out there. She's putting a proper shift for her team out there. Fielding's been good, bowling's been accurate on the whole. And Somerset are certainly behind the 8 ball, I would say, at the moment. But a good little rebuild, certainly tracking towards something that starts with a 2, which is a very minimum requirement. I think that's fair to say.
It's terrible. Alex Hartley has a lot to answer for, and one of the things is the fact that I can never look at Tammy Beaumont in the field without remembering the nickname of Basil, with the sort of slightly orangey ponytail coming out the back that they think looks like the fox's tail.
Basil Brush.
Yeah, it's awful. I shouldn't even bring something like that up on commentary probably, but I'm going to blame Alex Hartley anyway. It just puts these things in your mind.
And I'll blame you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
I have no part in that sort of those antics.
Another pull shot from Griffiths. Out to deep backward square. Was that a slightly anxious look round just to make sure that the angle wasn't heading a certain way?
Well, I think it was. Well, right. Yeah. No, I was thinking actually she got a good angle on it. I was expecting it to be at least a 2 or a potential boundary, and that will be a boundary. Leroyd again using that short length delivery there to step back and swat it through straight mid wicket into the boundary again, and she moves into the 60s, and how well she played.
Yeah,
really, really impressive.
It's been a bit of an exhibition of how to navigate your way through a tricky situation when boundaries aren't coming, and in a position where you've lost several other experienced players standing up and making sure that you're there for a significant part of the innings, and she'll hope basically all of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one sort of chink in the armour from the performance. You know, watching while I was off air, there've been quite a number of balls from the spinners in particular, and I think it's kind of disappointing the dismissals of Hazel and Jones as well, as there's a lot of short deliveries there that you don't really need to do too much on the fuller deliveries. Play them a bit more watchfully. You know, 2 straight deliveries missed, and there are lots of scoring opportunities there. I mean, it's you obviously find your feet against a new bowler that comes in, but if you can see that I'm going to get one drag down and over, there's not really too much you have to do in terms of like going out there and hitting the good deliveries, and that was a massive appeal.
What an appeal from Kirsty Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, it's unusual for a right-handed batter to make that sort of shot, get hit on the pad from a left-arm spinner and the finger not go up. So it'd be interesting to see that as a replay, even though we don't have a great angle on it. I mean, generally left-arm spinners that hit that front shin certainly motivates the finger trigger of the umpire, but not that time. Potentially getting outside the line. That would be my
the only thing
guess.
I could have wondered if that might have happened. I mean, Kirsty Gordon did the appeal, then the complete turnaround and celeb appeal or celebra appeal, whichever one people like, and then looking back again to say, really? Not yet? No, not out.
Ben Peverell was unmoved, but it was again one of those appeals that it just looks right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's not a speculative appeal, it's a genuine that is out.
Convinced, yeah. So 2 for 37 from Kirsty Gordon's 10 overs. That's her bowled out, but there's still the other 6 bowlers that they've used, plus I'm sure a couple that they haven't used as well. So options are plenty for Kirsty Gordon, but the skipper's got her overs done.
Yeah, I mean, it's been slim pickings in terms of loose deliveries for the Somerset batters to capitalise on. I think that one area of the short pitch delivery from the spinner has allowed, in particular, Leroy to tick over and pick up the occasional boundary. But the seamers, I thought, up top were, you could probably count on half a hand how many, quite obvious poor deliveries were bowled. They were really, really good in their areas that they bowled, and hence why they were 3 down inside those 10 overs. A bouncer to start, another one, awkward one for the keeper. Griff, never shy of running a quick single, very good between the wickets. Alex Griffiths really does put the old accelerator down.
Yeah, Charlie Phillips returning, who took 2 for 18 in her first spell at the start of the innings. Removed Holland and Odgers, the Somerset openers, but there's been a lot of chatter around the circuit about Charlie Phillips's death bowling this season as well. Somebody that I suspect has a very bright future and certainly a bright present as well, but I'm excited to see what she comes up with at the death here. There's probably no reason yet really to overcomplicate it too much with the score being as is. Mind you, that's one of those phrases I said that you need to overcomplicate. I don't think anybody ever needs to overcomplicate. A bit like nobody ever tries to overhit it. They just overhit it, or they just overcomplicate it. But you find yourself saying these things.
Yeah, that's the mind races, especially when you're under pressure. You come into the back end of a one-day game, batter under pressure to obviously up the boundary count, and the bowler's under pressure to stop the boundary count. It's an interesting terminology, death bowling. You've got various skills, but for me, the definition of death bowling is the type of bowling that goes for the least runs and will hopefully take wickets. And sometimes you'll play on you see it an awful lot where you play on a pitch that might be gripping. The spinners have had success in the middle and actually bowling the slower balls into the pitch. is sometimes a great death option, whereas other pitches, you know, in particular Taunton, where it's a very true surface, you have to start trying to hit the shoes of the batter, hitting the Yorker, and that's not the length. That is not the length to Annika Leroyd. Banged it in. That's the second bouncer that's been tried this over, and that one was thumped away through mid-wicket.
Oh, that made a fearsome noise off the bat and exploded off through mid-wicket. And I don't know that... Well, you'd be brave to continue to bang too many in short without a deep mid-wicket to Annika Leroyd.
Yeah, I think there's a type of, or a level of dispatched as a bowler where you just think, I can't bowl there
thanks.
anymore. Short is not the place for me, and I think that was so dismissive. I'd be surprised if any other short balls would be intentionally bowled to Annika Leroyd. She is absolutely flying. She's doing a really, really good job here for the team. Wickets have tumbled consistently, in particular at the top of the innings, and she's just maintained her class and poise. Played some great shots. She's on 68 now, and plenty of time in the bank to make it a big one.
Yeah, so I mean, it gets to the stage with 10 overs to go that even I can work out the projected scores run rate wise. So we'd have to go at about sevens to get to the 220-ish that Ben and I were discussing. What do you reckon from the final 10?
Well, I think because of the quality of the blaze, and yes, there were some, my favourite phrase of 2026, suboptimal shots. There were some suboptimal shots, but I think the pressure that the blaze and the quality that they've bowled has led to, you know, Somerset's predicament. I think almost no matter how well Somerset play from here, the score's going to be under par. I think against the quality team, fast outfield, looks like a pretty true surface. So, you know, 250, 260 is probably the par. It's going to take a monumental effort, and I think the key is going to be early wickets. If you take early wickets, you put the Blaze batting lineup in the same position, and the question will be: can someone from the Blaze team do what Annika's doing for Somerset? It's almost inevitable that Somerset are going to be under what you would par this ground and the facility.
Yeah, I mean, against... Well, I don't know whether to really name names in terms of team, but I might as well, because it's Surrey that I'm going to talk about. I mean, Surrey are an explosive batting team. Oh, there's an inside edge, but it'll work out quite handily for Somerset. It's going to be another boundary. Beats all of Prendergast, and they'll take those.
Yeah, we love those. The old inside edge, nutmeg the keeper by the looks of it, and you know, to that, you know, almost backstop position, I suppose. There's something quite rewarding when you're playing nicely about getting away with one, nicking one for four. It actually, you know, early on in your innings, you don't want to nick one for four. It sort of feels like, you know, oh, you're not playing so well or whatever, but. You know, when you get one deep into your innings now, Annika's now 72, big appeal. Ben Peverell again unmoved. I think that skidded a little bit low. Looked like it hit Annika somewhere around the inner thigh pad. So potentially a question on height. I'll just have a little bit of a stretch of the old giraffe neck, see if I can see a replay. But that looked close, but I'm having it confirmed that height was suspect.
I thought I heard two sounds, but it might just have been both pads or something. Anyway, Ballinger coming back, and she does get that in swing from round the wicket with the new ball, but when she comes back later on, she does have a good slower ball, and as a lot of left-armers do, at the back end, bowling to the right-handers, comes round the wicket and just tries to completely cramp the batters up for room outside the off stump at least. Oh, paddle sweep comes out. It's going to bring not four, despite the fact that the ball seemed to be going over a particularly bare part of the outfield there, but they've come through for three, so
great running there from Griff, never in doubt. She scampered up and down the wicket. Got 3 runs for that. Good piece of fielding there. It's a particularly arid part of the outfield there. So A good commitment from the fielder out there to dive and save that one. But yeah, Griff's a dangerous player as well, you know, looking towards the back end. I think there's, again, when you've lost a clump of wickets up early, you know, normally if you were 3 down, for instance, in this situation, you'd start to think about boundary hunting from now. I think you've probably got to put that off until, say, the 46th, because you don't want a situation where 2 wickets fall and then you've got new batters in, you know, lower order batters in, you know, in that crucial time. So I think everything, because of those early wickets, has had to be kind of sort of second guessed and restructured a little bit. But looks like Somerset doing the right thing. But Griff's a really good striker of the ball. Annika's playing beautifully, and she's had a little bit of luck from time to time, certainly of late. You know, she's been flawless, so she deserves a little bit. But you know, there's a couple of moments here where I get the sense that she's looking to press on a little bit. But I'd like to see it sort of held off 4 or 5 overs, because I think it's really important she bats 48th and beyond.
Well, it's nicely played out to deep cover again. It's crisp timing from Leroy. Anyway, I was having a go at Surrey.
Oh yeah,
not that long ago.
Feel free.
But you know, their batting style tends to be an extremely aggressive one, and you do always feel as though there's the possibility, especially with a sort of total that, because they're used to getting big scores. I mean, bat a lot somewhere like Beckenham, you're used to scoring big, but you do get the impression that bat on the full, Phillips able to slow it down. 2 separate lines of defence.
That's actually been
it to 1.
Double booted to stop. I think it hit the bowler's boot, and then mid-off made a little bit of an error there with her fielding, and she stopped it with her boot as well. So double intervention from the shoe. That was a great shot there from Griff. Slightly over pitch, but I really like Griff when she has a focus of hitting quite straight. I think there was, you know, when I worked with her in the past, she had a tendency to try and hit quite straight balls towards the leg side, play across the line, and that is a great shot. Over pitch, a full toss, and Annika Leroy has clubbed that back over mid-on for 4.
She's got a little bit of the swagger going now as Annika Leroy.
Why wouldn't you?
The shoulders rocking, yeah, exactly.
Why wouldn't you? She's a lovely player. I mean, technically she looks like, she knows her own game. She's got a very, very good technique, and she's also got some real power. And you know, when she goes for those attacking shots, there's a lovely swing in the bat. There's a lot to like about Annika Leroy, and you know, she's on to 80 now, and hopefully she can chalk up a few more.
But I'll finish the point.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I'm trying to do it, and then every time they do it, every time I get close, Somerset hit a boundary, so I should probably start again and try and bring another one as Leroy gets off strike. But I suppose the concern, if you look down that Blaze lineup, is you've got a lot of people that like to spend time in the middle, the likes of Beaumont and Catherine Bryce, Georgia Elwis. So that's where it does come back to, if you can get those batters early, then you're in business. But there's a lot of hard work to be done as that's gone underneath the batter Griffiths.
Yeah, I think I've had some really interesting conversations in the past about, you know, mentality and how to play a series, because if you look at, you know, what we're playing, the Metro back 50 over competition, you know, you look at it day by day, but you almost, I think it's quite powerful for a team to have a style in which they play, and it sounds like you think that Surrey's is overtly aggressive or more aggressive than any other team out there. And actually, when you break down, what is the goal? You know, when you go into a competition, game 1, what is your goal? Is it just to win game 1, or is it to qualify for the knockout stages? What's the more important aspiration? So if you have a style that suits your players and you can execute it, and this has been the case in teams that I've played in the past. You play 10 games in a series, you probably need to win 6 to qualify for the knockout stages, which is your real goal, and you kind of account for a couple of blowouts where you're going to go too hard, too early, you're going to get bowled out for 120, but when you play those 6 games well, you're going to blow the other teams out of the water. It's actually quite a good strategy, especially in modern day cricket, because nobody likes bowling against batters that are going hard at you, and providing you back yourself across 10 games to win 6, which gets you through the next stage. Yes, so what if we get bowled out cheaply a few times? It's worth it, because we don't want to win game 1, game 4, game 6. We want to win 6 out of 10. It doesn't matter when they come.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for being hyper aggressive in one day cricket.
Oh, it's again been thumped, but picking out deep mid wicket. And you certainly can't argue with the results in T20 cricket, because as they were South East Stars have been one of the best sides in that.
The flip side to it, the other tactic to play is you back yourself to take the game deep and win at the end. Say for instance you've got 3 batters who score the volume of runs throughout the season. You get into a big game, you need to win it to qualify. If you lose those 3, you're kind of on skid row, because you've never got it's really important, especially when you're chasing, is you need to get the run rate, you need to get way ahead of the run rate, so then winning the game becomes almost inevitable. And if you just play on par all the time, you lose a cluster of wickets. So those old cricket cliches about 1 brings 2, and a cluster of wickets, if you're not ahead of the run rate in one day cricket and you lose 3 quick wickets, you're in real trouble. And I think that's why I like those aggressive teams, is because even if they lose a cluster of wickets, they're so far ahead of the rate that the batters coming in aren't under pressure to score immediately. And I think if you track the winners of a lot of trophies, they probably, I would imagine, play in that vein rather than the slightly more let's just stay in the game and take it deep vein. But that's why we love cricket, because
there's more than one way to skin a cat, as
exactly
they say. I'm not quite sure why they say
there's
it. There's
more than one way to skin a monkfish.
I don't know. I think that's sort of grab the skin and pull as hard as you can. Oh, it's a bit of whippage from Leroy there for a single.
Is monkfish is bony?
Yeah, I think it can be, but it's quite meaty.
Meaty but bony.
Meaty, yeah.
I don't like a lot of admin on my food, especially when I'm hungry.
Oh, it's not those, not sort of little bones. No, I don't think so.
Choke hazards.
Mate, yeah. No, I think that's all right. I think it's, if it's the tail, maybe you might get some smaller bones, but I think you'll be all right.
Well, Griffin to the 20s and striking the ball nicely. Perfect little partnership this for Somerset. Annika 8 boundaries and a 84. Her strike rate has been on the low side just because of the situation, but that's starting to creep up now.
And I suppose as the non-striker, when you see somebody starting to make that sort of connection, not only does it, I suppose, take pressure off you, but it must be hard for that confidence not to transfer. Oh, is that a no ball?
Oh, Annika will be desperate to get back for 2 here. Oh. There is nothing worse in cricket than batting and getting a single off a free hit and missing out. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, she gave it a look for that second run. So, free hit. They can change the field, even though it's still a right-hander on strike. So the keeper's going to stand back by the looks of things.
Yeah, I think every fielder will be edging back to the ring if they're inside the ring, and those leg side fielders with Griff's bat swing will be definitely called into play. She's gone for the ramp. Confuses me. That confuses me, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, I know third and fine are up, but you'd think there's your chance to get the maximum result, as they say, even though in theory I suppose it isn't. But you've got a chance to really play a strong shot over the boundary rope, and you're only getting 4 for that, even if you absolutely execute it to perfection.
In the women's game, a lot of death bowling, a lot of death bowlers utilise the slower ball a lot. So you'd be thinking that there's a strong probability of a no ball, a free hit being a slower ball. And obviously, even if Alex would have perfectly executed that ramp, it's not going anywhere because it's a slower ball. I mean, that's just a case of get the left leg out of the way and slog it as hard as you can. And that suits slower ball or a quicker ball.
Cart it.
I mean, 172 for 5, 7 overs to go. Plenty of balls for Somerset to creep into the early mid 200s if they get this right. All hinges on this partnership now for me. If they can bat together for the next 5 overs and then just go for it.
Yeah, so now very defensive leg side field as Catherine Bryce returns to the attack.
Oh, what a shot that is.
So she just goes offside and with power and for 4 more runs, and that moves Leroyd on to 90.
That's fantastic batting. You know, Bryce known for sort of shaping the ball or angling the ball into the right-hander. She's in great nick and she's opened up her stumps and hit that beautifully over wide mid-off for 4. That's an excellently thought out and executed shot. Looks like she's gone again. Same result. Bowler had half a chance, but it looked like she didn't fancy putting her hands next to that one. That was hit with some serious power.
Absolutely blistering drive from Leroyd that time. I mean, to be honest, most things scare me, but that scared me a little bit, the noise off the bat there. If there'd been any bird life about it, I don't think it'd have been sitting around on the ground too much. Yeah,
I could have taken out a pair of skylarks.
Oh, we need those. I'm not sure if they're on the red list, but they're certainly a little bit worse off than some. Now, is she trying to find 2 here? There's quite enough space now. They put the pressure on the fielder, which is good. Prendergast with a one-handed pickup, which it had to be, because otherwise they probably would have come back.
No need for risking a run out there. That's a great start to the over. 2 boundaries and a single. Leroyd now on 94, closing in on what would be a magnificent 100 in the context of the game. Nice shot there from Griff, but fielder found.
Yeah, and that, I suppose the other thing, I know it's getting right towards the end of the innings now, but some boundaries from Leroyd mean that Griffiths gets more open space to try and find herself.
I mean, I think, you know, the 3-figure score, not only the amount of runs, but there's a little bit of a psychological dent on the opposition when someone gets 100, because every batter will think one of us needs to do that. There are other ways to break it down, but I think someone getting a 3-figure score in a one-day game has a little bit of power to it. She's done super well. She's on strike now. Hopefully she can just chalk off these next 5 runs, just playing some good shots, and then it's the Willy Wonka golden ticket. Tick over that 100, Ed, and let fly.
Yes, not a feeling I would ever know, but I can imagine. And certainly getting into the final stages, it's time to have some fun. Whatever happens, I think this has been you would imagine it's been a very important innings for Leroyd as well. She got a start in basically every innings and has contributed, but especially as that overseas, you know, you want to be contributing with really big scores and ideally 3 figures. So I really hope that she's able to get these remaining runs and raise her bat.
One-day hundreds don't come around often. I mean, you've got to have a real day in the sunshine to chalk that off. So, you know, you just hope that. But knowing that and that occasion doesn't get too much. But, you know, with the field as it is, and, you know, Blaze probably more focused on containing boundaries at the moment. You know, my suggestion is she's playing beautifully. Don't do anything too extravagant. Just, you know, get that anxiety out by chalking off those 5 runs, and then, as I said, the old Willy Wonka ticket is in the post.
Now that must have been
fairly close to being over waist high, but I suppose Griffiths was a couple of steps down the pitch, but we've seen a few high full tosses. It does bring Leroy back on strike.
95. Plenty of time to go. Another slower ball and swatted down the ground towards long on.
Certainly ringing the changes, because Prendergast returning from the C end and Ballinger only having a couple of overs. I wondered if she was going to bowl out, but she's just had a couple and been replaced. Prendergast 1 for 15 coming into this. She did take that critical wicket of Sophie Luff earlier on, her former teammate.
Yeah, it looks like there's quite a high proportion of hold back slower ball deliveries being bowled. Looks like that's a tactic. There gets to a point with how many are bowled in an over where you start setting for the slower ball instead of the stock ball. It's really interesting talking to other batters that do that really well, because if you're set for the on-pace delivery and the slower ball's like 10, 15 miles an hour slower, it becomes really, you almost swing twice at it and it's really difficult. But what a shot that is for Griff. It's towards the fielder and it's dropped on the boundary. It was a tough chance, Griff. I mean, that's one of those shots that you feel really unlucky if that was taken, because it was a really good shot from Griff, but straight at Tammy Beaumont out there.
It almost seemed to...
That's not Tammy, I've stitched her up there.
It almost seemed to swerve towards the fielder, yeah. Oh no,
my eyesight isn't nearly good enough.
I'm not going to try and guess. Lucy Hyam's somewhere out there, but I'm not sure if that's her. Could be another chance here. No, she's going to play it on the bounce, and there's the problem with playing it on the bounce is that the outfield's so hard, and they've come back for 2 again. That's great running.
Yeah, it was a good bit of fielding that in the end, and probably disappointed after the drop, the previous delivery. But good signs from Griffiths. She's striking the ball nicely. Yeah, that was a pretty straightforward chance that in the end, even though out in the deep there's no such thing as really an easy catch, but if there was, that was it. Oh, Griff, where are you going?
You don't see that very often. A run-out attempt from the bowler in the follow-through.
I think that's called running on the shot. She just assumed that was going to go past the bowler and set off. She'd have been out by half the strip there, Griff. Luckily, Prendergast missed that return throw.
It's kicking off out there, I think.
It's all happening, Ed. It's all happening.
Did you know, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anybody try and do this, but I think it's still in the laws of the game where you can, as you're running in, you can throw the ball full pelt at the stumps if the batter's out of their ground. And it will be a no ball because you've chucked it, but you can still be run out. I can't remember whether there was something about the fact they were going to remove that from the laws.
That absolutely should be removed. Don't you have to get into your bowl in stride?
Well, I think that's when you're running somebody out at the
man-cad. Let's not talk about that. Yeah. That's a filthy tactic.
Okay. I wonder where you might come down on that.
There's a much better way to if you sense that someone is taking liberties, just have a conversation, a stern one. And generally, most people will go, okay. Yeah, it's not a good look for cricket, the old man-cad. So we saw it was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? There was a spate of them in all formats of the game. It's just as a former player myself, it's just a horrible look. We don't want to see those.
Well, no, especially not with Charlie Dean on Somerset's books these days. That was
man-cadded.
Yes, that was it. Ended.
No,
it ended an ODI at Lords between England and India, and England with Charlie Dean, as I mentioned earlier, backing away, trying. Oh, what a catch! And that, I'm afraid, is the end for Annika Leroyd on 97. But it took some catch to get her, and she did middle it, but Catherine Bryce, great reactions. And, it might be 3 short of 100, but that innings is worth well over 100 from a Somerset point of view.
Well, I'm gutted, Ed. I think she's really deserved 100. Annika Leroy, she's played beautifully for a 97, but it took a fantastic return catch, arguably one of the hardest in the games. You know, you're at the back end of your bowling action, and all of a sudden this white blurry orb comes back at you at quite a high speed, and she's just plucked that one-handed in front of the umpire. The umpire, old flying ant, will be over the moon because that was tracing right towards his forehead. Catherine Bryce has taken a superb catch there to dismiss Leroy, who's certainly been the star of the show. That's a great 97, really did deserve 3 figures.
Yeah, they really can do everything, these Bryce sisters. Both fantastic cricketers, and Catherine Bryce, we saw a stumping from Sarah. Catherine Bryce taking her first wicket. Sure. Well, I say I'm sure. Both may well have work to do with the bat later on, but that is a phenomenal piece of fielding in her own follow-through. And Chloe Skelton comes out. She is, well, arguably the form batter, but she's not got too many deliveries to work with here. Just important that Somerset...
Excuse me, Super Scouts to you.
Okay.
Super Scouts. Brilliant, wholehearted cricketer with bat and ball and in the field. Really like her way and character, attitude towards the game. Brilliant that all that hard work has yielded some performances.
Well, I have always said the game's never over while you've still got a Skelton in the cupboard.
Very good.
Slower ball again, thick outside edge, and there was a bit of hesitation about that single, but perhaps a little bit of the spin causing short third not to be able to field it cleanly.
Yeah, important that Griff takes over the role now of that in batter. Looks like she's going to be pretty positive. Scouts, what a shot that is. Super Skelton through the covers, on the up. What a shot that is. That's the sign of a player in full confidence.
Yeah, I think very much nowadays the little bit of teasing she gets about the cut shot.
She loves a cut shot.
She does love a cut shot, but nowadays she's got basically everything, and that really is the shot of somebody in form. I was just about to say as well, you can see the boundary count and see how tricky it's been to find the boundary. I mean, Leroy, 10 boundaries in the end, but I think it was only 3 when she'd reached her 50, so even she hadn't found it easy to score boundaries. Griffiths has yet to find a boundary, and then even before I had a chance to say it, Chloe Skelton plays that shot, whatever that was, second ball.
She's in that purple patch. She's got the cheat code. Long may it continue. On 96 for 6 now in these closing overs here at Exmouth Cricket Club. The Blaze have been, on the whole, pretty good, but Somerset fighting hard. And I suppose anything that starts with a 2, from a chase perspective, at least you're asking the question of the opposition. They've still got to play well to chase here, even though it looks like a good pitch, fast outfield. It's going to be an uphill test for Somerset's bowling stocks. Early wickets needed, Ed.
Yeah. Runner ball gets them to 220 from here. Not that I'm saying that because that's a number I suggested, but just because it does. And it's easy to work out.
Sorry, I got just distracted then. I'm keeping my eye on Spencer Bishop, eyeing up those scones. I want to make sure there's at least one left for me. Ooh. Are we in a foot race?
Fight.
I'm in a foot race as soon as that last ball's bowled.
Oh, it's swung away. I mean, that's extraordinarily well put away from Griffiths, because it didn't get up that much, and the way that she picked that length up and put so much pace on the ball, it was heading towards Trigo's old banger down there.
I mean, that, if you were doing your analysis on any of the Somerset batters, it would be do not bowl into Griff's pads, and that's exactly what's happened, and she has met that. bopped it over towards all those youngsters in the nets over there, which is also good to see when the game's on. Plenty of young cricketers in the practice nets here at Exmouth. Lots of volunteers in their high-vis jackets helping out.
And the 200 brought up in style. Yeah, I was mentioning to Ben earlier, it's just, you come to this part of the world and you just feel like cricket's everywhere. And even on, I was saying even on the train this morning, somebody with a massive cricket bag which could barely fit through the train doors going to Limpstone, I think it was.
Yeah, we've got, obviously on the, coming down here on the M5, we've got Exeter Uni, big cricket programme down there, lots of clubs. Yeah, certainly Somerset, Devon, Cornwall love their cricket, as most of us do across the country.
We've got settings like this to play in. Why not? Very lucky in this part of the world.
Yeah, I mean, there are some great grounds down here. Is it North Devon, Sidmouth here? I mean, there are some really beautiful cricket grounds down here. Always quite a nice part of the world with the old Devon clotted cream vanilla ice cream as well. I think I've got that's on my radar. I think I might give myself a little cheat day to go with yesterday's cheat.
Wow, they've got back for 2 there.
Yeah, super run. It's a long way out there, and certainly if it's not in the hand, you can set off and be pretty confident you can make it there for 2. Somerset 204 for 6 with 3 overs remaining.
Yeah, 18 balls to try and run this total up further. Oh, it's really bugging me now. There is another incredible ground, which I'm sure is in Devon, kind of nestled between the cliff tops. I don't know how much cricket is actually played at this venue, but I'm desperately trying to search through Google Maps to try and find where this place is. And I just can't remember where it is. I'm sure it's in Devon, almost in the middle of nowhere. Might have to try and do some research in the break as to where that ground is. Got a very strong picture of it. It's like a sort of almost you drive past it on quite a really narrow road, and then you drop down towards the sea. And it is. I mean, it almost feels like it shouldn't be there. Uh-oh, there's going to be a throw at the non-striker's end here, and she's going to go. Skelton just going a little bit too far down, and I don't know whether there really was a single there, but Skelton was committed to it.
No, that is a shame. That is a shame. There's still a few balls to be maximised by Somerset. There was a little bit of a suggestion that this pair were sort of almost like playing tip and run a little bit, dangerous strategy, and good piece of fielding.
It's somewhere around here. Is that it?
Could be. Yeah.
It's sort of near Linton and Lynmouth.
Okay.
That sort of area, somewhere around there. Whoops. It's me struggling to operate my phone one-handed whilst holding the mic.
Feels like we're playing some sort of commentary version of orienteering at the moment, myself and Ed.
Yeah, I'm sure it's somewhere around there anyway. There's just this incredible cricket ground that just looks... It's absolutely picturesque, but you just think, who on earth decided that there was the spot?
Somebody wanted to bowl into the wind, obviously.
Yeah. Right, this is an exciting moment because we have got Jasmine Westley out in the middle making her Somerset debut. She's not got too long to make an impact. She's not on strike.
get down, get down. Nice shot there from Griff, straight down the ground. It was quite a long boundary straight, especially as it's slightly uphill. It's going to take a clean strike to clear the fielder. Wasn't fully timed, actually quite luckily there from Griff, otherwise it would have been a catch opportunity for mid-off. Here we go, the debutant facing the first delivery.
This is a danger of...
Easy to identify. Wesley out there with the tubey grip arm sleeves.
Yes, although I did write down the number that was on the online system when I should probably have looked at Somerset's website. Oh, he's going to have to get back
Well,
here.
she's wearing a number 8, but there's an... I'm imagining that she's either using number 28 or 18's shirt, because there's a lot of duct tape on the back of her shirt. So, no expense spared. Was that your handiwork, Spence?
Well, there she goes. She's going to get her first run. It might even be 2, actually, because there's a little bit of a fumble from Ballinger at short fine, and indeed they are back for 2. So she's underway in her Metro Bank Somerset career. 2:08 with 2 overs to go. I suppose at this stage you just want Griffiths to face as many of these 12 deliveries as possible. Can she?
Quite enjoying DJ
over the boundary.
Ginger's
DJ
playlist
Ginger.
at the moment. It's like being in a bar in the 90s. It's right on my street. Bit of All Saints. Happy days. Keep the 90s vibes going. We like it.
Then we got Prendergast, I think, to bowl the penultimate over. No, it's Ballinger.
Oh, what a shot. That's going to go all the way for 6. What a shot there from Griff. Again, do not bowl into the pads of Alex Griffiths. She's dropped to one knee and played that very unique, comfortable swing across the line, and she's got all of that all the way for 6.
First 6 of the innings.
Yeah, it's a pretty big surface, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think it's, especially with the wind, the shorter boundary I think is protected a little bit by the wind, but that literally got up into the zephyr, isn't it? It's taken it on all the way for 6. The jet stream.
Yeah. Oh, she's been done there by the slower ball. That seemed to take forever to get there, and Griffiths has to go the ball after hitting the 6, so 2:14 for 8, and I suspect Ellie Anderson will get a bat.
I think Griff's gone for the boundary followed by a single option there. Maybe trying to take a load off it just to get it into that pocket for a 2. I feel like Griff's game's just suited. Just hit the ball firm, hard. Just tried to get a little bit too clever on that one, and just played all round it. Nice piece of bowling there by Bryce, but I think Griff will be disappointed in that, especially after dispatching that previous delivery for 6.
Yeah, she almost had time to play about 3 shots there and ended up getting beaten through the gate. But a very much valuable knock from Alex Griffiths of 43. We actually only had 3 Somerset batters into double figures, but somebody had to stay with Annika Leroyd while she was really striking the ball so cleanly, and Griffiths at least has, with her 43, has given Somerset something to bowl, given herself something to bowl at.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Hazel and Griffiths. I think they've made really valuable contributions, but yeah, Annika Leroyd, I think that was a stunning innings and really did deserve 100. But you have to say that Somerset have fallen foul a little bit. In 50 overs, you really don't want a cluster of wickets, but Somerset have had 2 clusters, and it's really sort of curtailed what Somerset could do. in terms of the bigger picture. But as they always say, the other team's still got to chase them, and at least Somerset have a competitive total, and like I said, a total where somebody in the lineup for the Blaze is going to have to play a substantial innings.
These slower balls are getting ever more flighted. They want 2, that's pretty risky, and they're going to get there.
Yeah, good running by the pair. Ellie Anderson was quick in and out of the crease. I think she was the driving force behind that too, and I think that's the shot that Griff was trying to play to that ball that bowled her, just tucking it into that little pocket there. It's a fair bit of acreage out there to cover if you just dab it in there. 2's definitely up for grabs.
Yeah, I've seen an awful lot of slower balls here. Ballinger will only bowl the 9 overs. In fact, Gordon's going to be the only bowler who's going to bowl their full allocation of 10. Mixed it up. Plenty of bowlers with 6s and 7s. Hit a little bit softer this time to the edge of the circle from Westley, so she will keep the strike at the end of 49 overs, 218 for 8.
Yeah, what have we got? Is it 2 overs left, or is it
One
over to go? So a bit of a believer in momentum in sport, so something substantially could just get Somerset into the break, nice and buoyant.
I'm going to bring back Phillips for the last over. Possibly thinking you've got 9 and 10 out there, whether Phillips is going to bowl pace on. She hasn't bowled herself too many slower balls. But 2 more wickets to her tally for the season. I think she had 12 coming in, so she might even be level with Alex Griffiths in terms of the top of the wicket-taking chart now. I wonder if he can be running that. I know it's hit hard to the edge of the 25-yard circle.
Yeah, you kind of think, was it 25 yards? I mean, I'm slightly accustomed to a slightly longer in a ring, and you kind of know in this situation that every shot is a runnable.
Yeah.
Blast over everyone on the ring. You can pretty much run 25 yards. Makes it a little bit harder, especially it was a very well timed shot, but you do think that it was worth the gamble there. It would take a perfectly clean pick up, a very quick throw and accurate one.
It needs to be a direct hit. The bowler's not getting back to the stumps.
Mystic Ben behind us. His wishes are coming true. 225 will be competitive, but again will be a huge requirement for the opening bowlers to take wickets. But as you mentioned about Griff being right up there in on the leaders tally in terms of wicket taking, that's what she has done. She has struck up the top. Ellie Anderson as well.
And say Anderson can bowl one of those dream spells where she gets the ball nipping both ways.
Skelton's opened the bowling. She's been picking up wickets. So it's just a big tariff on getting into the middle order, and it's amazing what happens when there are nerves, running through the dressing room.
Well, she's sacrificed herself there as Westley, really. The piece of fielding was a clean one, and a 9th wicket will fall with the run out, but
could a dive have saved her there?
I don't know. That does get Anderson back on strike. I must admit, I've not been counting.
How many balls are
Feels like 1.
It does feel like the sort of thing you would do with just the one to come. I thought so. Before I was going to say, well, you almost might as well, given that there was only 1 ball left after this, but I then stopped myself because I wasn't counting.
the road, Jack. Ray Charles. He's got it all, hasn't he, DJ Ginge?
Well, yeah. So that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Wesley's got to hit the road, whereas I think it was. I can't remember who it was who got always look on the bright side of life. Somebody earlier on, might have been Jess Hazel.
I think there was early on in music coming into cricket, I can vaguely remember that we were asked for our walkout song. Every individual batter had almost like a WWE wrestler. You could come out to your favourite song to get you sort of pumped up, and I'd forget the song that I requested, but Darren Van Ness, the strength and conditioning coach, doctored mine, and I walked out in the first game expecting to hear this, whatever pump up music I wanted to hear, probably a bit of Bon Jovi or something. And I walked out to, I think it was a song by Madness called "I'm an Embarrassment" or something like that. So, yeah, cheers for that, Daz.
So you're going to say sort of "I'm a Barbie girl" or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was corrected by game 2, but
yes, I do remember that because it was they'd bring up whoever it was on the TV pictures decided we don't need the stats or anything like that. It's going to be, favourite song,
favourite food, hero,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
and you could tell half of them had filled out by either the same person or somebody that wasn't the actual person that was.
Almost like the cricketers' Who's Who book that you had to fill out a form for. There was a lot of suspect rogue answers put on there.
Right, now there's one ball left.
Penultimate. It was the penultimate ball. Now we're into
run 'em up.
The very tail end of this innings. Bat on ball. Important that is the case. Bat on ball, regroup, and over to the coach and captain to motivate the players to defend this total. Oh, what a nice shot that is. Can they scamper 2? There's been a fumble. I think they will come back for 2. Nice shot.
So
Right,
2-2-2. It's a pleasing score, at least, in terms of symmetry and
good and remarkable how you didn't.
Great late Richie Benno.
Yeah, I was going to say remarkable. You didn't call that score in the voice of the great Richie Benno. But yeah, 222. I've refrained. Yeah, I don't think I've changed my feeling on it. It is under par, but it's defendable, providing Somerset hit the ground running with early wickets. So that's going to be the challenge. And I think massive shout out to Leroy. I think that was a magnificent innings. Not only the shot making, the battership that she showed, the quality of the shots, but the scenario as well, because the other batters for long periods of time didn't make it easy for her. So she stood strong, and she's the reason why Somerset have at least got a competitive score. Well supported by Griff and Jess Hazel, but Somerset are under par. But we know when we watch a lot of Somerset cricket, they will come out scrapping, and they'll make it as difficult as they possibly can for the Blaze.
Yeah, very much so. So as the tractor wheels its way out, I love that. It's got some ropes which are pulling the roller behind the cart. That's good. I don't think I've seen that before. Very good. Anyway, we'll be back in about half an hour's time to see whether Somerset can defend the score that they've posted of 2-2-2 for 9. We'll go and get some lunch and be back with you shortly.